cookies and some cake icing. And it's awful, man. It was like
icing out of the can,
like just put some of that on some cookies and ate. And then I like started sweating and feeling like I was going to throw up and stuff. It was like awful, man. So that's like my once or twice a year like sugar stuff. So I'm like, ugh, freaking, yeah, man. I
put about 3 sugars in my coffee, so I'm like constantly taking sugar. So I don't really eat much else that's sugary.
Yeah, God, this is awful, man. I started sweating like
that stuff. Just it like coats your throat. It's like it's like I like in the world, like the Hollywood stuntmen put that gel on their arms so they can catch on fire but not burn. It's like what that stuff does to your esophagus. Just coats it.
Yeah, it's gross, man. So that's like much that took care of any like hankering I had to eat any junk food or sweet stuff probably the rest of the year and most of next year too.
Wild.
Yeah, but I have gone out. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just adding. I don't know. It's just like, I guess junk food, I guess it depends on your definition, but I don't like sit around like eating chips and stuff like that. I'll occasionally get a sweet tooth, but that's about it.
This is like the only, I don't eat cookies or anything like that. So I was like, I just got like this came out of nowhere. Well, I think it's probably because like my nephew had a birthday party like about a week or so ago and they were eating cupcakes and stuff. And I was like, nah, I can't mess with that. And then they had, homemade ice cream and all that. So I guess it was just like, it kind of stuck in my brain and then I was like, what the heck? So, cause I've been jogging like 2 miles every day, except for like Saturdays and Tuesdays. And like, I'm like, it probably won't hurt. So I ate some and then just got sick. So I'm like, all right, that's it. And every time I ever eat something like that, it makes me sick. Cause it's just, blech.
You're not pregnant, are you?
yeah, man, I am.
Well, I was gonna say with the sweating, sounds like early menopause, but whatever.
I just, yeah.
Hey, Deal.
I can see early menopause.
Does ice cream count as junk food, or is that like a dairy product?
Oh, I think it still counts as junk food.
It's a dessert for sure. I would classify junk food as stuff that's like more like empty calories kind of stuff. Where you're talking like, like potato chips and
potato chips aren't that bad because they don't have sugar in them.
Right,
but a lot of them do have sugar in them.
It's starch.
Yeah, the
starch turns to sugar.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of stuff in them that's not like, but that's kind of what I would think, like Hostess cakes and stuff like that. Stuff that is just filled with like all of the fake preservatives and like everything else, and like I don't know.
Twinkies.
Twinkies would be another great example.
Twinkies are the one thing you'll be able to eat after the nuclear apocalypse.
Hold on.
You can leave McDonald's food out in the middle of July and it won't biodegrade, man. It's just like,
well, yeah, but that's the same thing with anything with a high amount of grease and fat content to it there, because they actually did that test with like some homemade burgers and it's the same thing. Like the only time it ever really like rots is if you put like lettuce and tomato and shit on it.
Well, Twinkies, that's only 2 kinds of sugar, but a Pop-Tart's 3 kinds of sugar in one.
Yeah,
that is true.
You got the bread, you got the filling, you got the frosting.
Yeah, see, that's just like all kinds of horribly bad things for you all in once.
You know what I did discover the other day, man? I bought like some Tostados, like some cheap things, and like, man, they're delicious, but I'm thinking they're almost like negative calories because like they're so thin, and I'm thinking it takes so much effort to like chew them up that it's like celery.
Yeah,
that it's like by the time you eat it, it's just like negative calories. You're just like you burned more calories chewing on it than like was actually in it because they're like thin. You gotta throw some cheese on them or something. They're pretty good.
We need to get the food engineers to make a chip that's so thin that when you eat it, it actually folds space and like disappears.
I don't know. A couple of the Chinese dudes I knew a dude that was getting his postdoc in it was food engineering and stuff like that, man. He was always like he was always up there, man. He had all this stuff. He would like, if you walk past his office, it'd be smelling like a Chinese place or something, man. It was like, his was authentic stuff, like not Americanized Chinese food, but like, he'd come up to me and I'm just like man, it's like
Duck and Cat.
Well, it's like 8 a.m. and I'm just like, he's like, hey, and he's like melting my breath with red pepper breath. I'm like, my God, it's 8 a.m, dude. You eating red pepper this early? I mean, there's a lot of Chinese people. They'll eat some, man. They'll melt your face off with some of that red pepper breath, dude.
There are a lot of Chinese people.
That's actually a really good idea. It starts your day off, and it gives you some energy, and it'll burn up anything that you shouldn't have in you to a large degree.
Run off everybody. And like, I'm telling you, man, they cannot drive. This one dude I rode with, Xiao Yang.
That doesn't have to do with the food.
No, it's just more, stereotypes about Chinese people. So it's like, he said, I can't, people tell me I drive terrible. We never got over 40 miles an hour and he almost killed us like 4 times. I said, oh my God, I'm never riding with you again.
I thought we were doing stereotypes about Chinese people, so wouldn't it be, hey, people tell me all the time that I'm really bad at driving.
It was funny. One time he came up to me and he was like, he would get me to help him with his English. And like, he was asking me the difference between beach, like sand, and bitch. And I'm like, and the way he said it, it's like, what the difference between beach and beach? And I'm like, I was looking for the studio audience that's supposed to be behind me laughing because I was like, dude, this is hilarious, man. This is gonna get you in some trouble, bro.
Well, they had a maid when my mom was a small child, and her name is Deborah, and they call her Debbie. And her younger brother's name was David, and they call him Davy. So there was this poor maid who kept trying to understand why they named both kids the same, Davy. It's always Davy, and she just couldn't understand why her employer named both children the same name. But of course they didn't. It was just the way she said it with her accent. They both came out the same. And it took my grandma like forever to figure out what she was talking about because she couldn't understand what the question was. She's like, because she didn't name her kids the same name. But
it was really funny because I worked with a dude. My immediate supervisor was from Nigeria, and then there was a guy from Nepal. There was Dr. Wang, but spelled Wang, and he knew it was funny, and he was just a joker, man. Like his name was Wang. It was Dr. Wang, and he was like, and the dude knew his name was like a joke, and he would always trip out and stuff. But it was hilarious because I could translate broken English to English. I understood everybody fine. But there was this redneck guy. I mean, like real, like Fayette, Alabama. Fayette, Alabama is like, dude, it's like way out in there. It is, man, that's God's country. He's the only one that knows where you are. And like, he would always go, man, I can't understand a fucking word I say. And I'd have to translate for this redneck dude because, he didn't understand. Unless it was Southern drawl, he was just like, and the guy who I work for he would always talk like this. And my students, they don't listen. I'm like, they can't hear you. You whisper every time you talk, dude. You don't. Yeah, your students don't listen. I don't understand why they can't. My students don't listen. You don't speak of a whisper, and you speak in broken Nigerian English, motherfucker. Nobody can.
I had 2 of those. One at when I first graduated from high school, my grandma was really ill, so I wanted to stay home with her because she'd raised me along with my mom. So I went to community college for a year. And I had a physics professor that was, I think she was actually Ukrainian. She was something Eastern European, and she only looked at the board. She never looked at us. So she was speaking with this insanely thick accent that nobody can understand and never looking at any of us. I dropped that class in like the first week.
Yeah, man.
And then at A&M,
they always get Russians to teach math, man, and they don't give a damn.
No.
Well, it's crazy because you're paying for it. You're paying tuition.
You're paying to not be able to understand what's going on. Yeah, it's
and let me tell you something, man. A lot of the Russian professors they would get, or now they don't have them now, but this is back. They would be like, dude. I'm like, this guy when I was in college, this dude was like, man. I was like, this motherfucker, this hardcore alcoholic. He'd be wearing the same clothes every day. He would just go home and just get like wasted every night. And then come back and everything and be talking in broken English and then trying to I had to drop that class too. Couldn't understand anything he was talking about.
When I was at A&M for one of my sciences, I love astronomy. And so I heard all these great stories about this one astronomy professor that he really brings it to life, and it's all about the beauty of the stars and space and nebula and all that. And I was so excited. So I signed up for his class. And the first day, there's this young Japanese dude who goes, by the way, the teacher who's supposed to teach this class has gone on sabbatical, so I will be teaching this class. It was nothing but numbers. It was nothing but math. I literally, he had to do a curve, and the highest score on average was like 45, maybe 50. No one could pass this son of a bitch's class. And it was, oh my God, I literally lost my mind in that class. I'm like, I wanted to look at the beauty of the universe, not be like bludgeoned over the head with numbers.
They do that on purpose. We took a geology class. It was like me and about 5 or 6 other dudes and people in environmental science. And we were all like, I think juniors or seniors, and we were taking it with all these freshmen. And it was like a grad student. It was teaching the class, and it was like at 7 o'clock at night. And this dude wanted to be there about as much as everybody else wanted to be there, which was like not at all. So it was like the first test, like the professor, like they gave notes during class, but if you didn't read the book, then you were screwed because it pulled all this stuff out of the book that they didn't give any notes on. And like the only people that passed was me and the 4 other people in environmental science, and all these other freshmen. This girl was crying. She was like, I got a 16, and shit. We were like laughing because it was funny. And you dumbass, we all made D's, and it scaled up to an A. We had the highest grades in the class, but like this girl was crying, I made a 16, and we were like, you stupid, because they were all driving like these little rich pamper kids were like driving these like Lexus SUVs and all this stuff coming to class and everything, and like we were just regular people, and it was just hilarious. They were all, it was crying because they made like less than a 20, and we were like laughing, you stupid ass, you should have studied out of the book, you dumb. Because that's the way they did those classes. Some of those like freshman type classes, we had to go back and take it. We couldn't get it when we were going through for our first round of environmental science classes, and we had to go back and take it with a bunch of freshmen. And so we knew it was a weed out class. If it's a freshman class, it's a weed out class. They try to make it as hard and difficult as fail as many people as possible, which is like they do that, and it's like retarded. Why would you want to do that just to? Yeah, it scales up. Nobody learns anything. They just like fail you, and then they have to scale it up.
I just noticed that we've been live for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, talking about nonsense.
Yeah. That's normally how the show starts anyway. So I mean, that's just kind of what I figured we'd do with it. So I just let it run for a little while, and then I figured, well, fuck it, we'll find a good spot. Somebody will notice. Somebody will say something. The chat will be like, "Hey, are you gonna say hi to us?" Or like, "What the fuck's going on?" I'll be like, "Yeah, let's let it ride for a little while and see what goes on." Because some of those random conversations are hilarious in the beginning anyway. So how's everybody doing? Check out an intro. How are we doing tonight, guys? It's Jesse with the CommonNerd, bringing you pop culture and all things 33 common sense lens, and welcome to the last edition of Winding Down Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen. That one evening a day that, God, we've been doing this for like 3 years. It was me all by myself for a little while, and then Diesel started hanging out, and this thing just kind of grew into its own little monster out there, and it was something that we've had a lot of fun with over the years. But unfortunately, my church needs some help in the media room, and so we're gonna have to rearrange our evening schedule a little bit. So technically, Winding on Wednesdays is the last one. It will be coming to an end. You will never see the likes of this again, but we are basically just going to go ahead and we're going to kind of reverse the schedule. So like, instead of doing gaming on Thursday nights like we normally do, we're going to do a winding down. We'll do a show on Thursday nights. We'll do a panel show on Thursday nights. And I know that's going to interfere with some other people's schedules. We're still going to start at the same time. Try to do it 6. So if other people have to cut out early to go to other things, it's not a big deal. I get that. But it's one of those things. The church needs my help, and I'm certainly not going to deny that out there. And they pay me. So that always helps out with things too. So it's one of those situations. And the other thing is at some point I'm going to have to take over for our current media guy anyway, because he recently got his real estate license. meetings and everything else. And so there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to be over there and doing more things normally anyway, as he wants to start moving away from that. Once he gets once he gets that taste of them first couple of houses sold underneath his belt, you know what I mean? He's going to be like, I want to do this all day long. I don't want to bother, so that's going to happen. And nothing wrong with that. The kid's great. I hope he wishes him all the best of luck with it. I'm glad he's gotten some stuff under his belt that actually be able to turn into something, and I'm happy for him. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with Winding Down Wednesdays. So what I'll end up doing is video games will end up happening after I get home from church like we normally do on Thursday nights, kind of the late night gaming with the Common Nerd, and we'll figure out a way to do a panel show. Iron Oxide's currently working on an intro for us. We got to come up with a name. So if any of you guys out there in the chat have any good ideas out there. So yeah, we'll have a fancy proper intro and all that kind of cool stuff as well. But if you guys come up with any names, Thursday night's Throwdown is already taken. I had to remind you about this.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's Comics Division show. Unfortunately enough, Comics Division shows doesn't start until like 9:00 at night anyway. So we'll definitely miss that one by a long shot. And there's some other stuff that goes on, but there's too many of us at this point in the fellowship doing too many things. It's impossible for us not to stream over to each other anymore. It legitimately is. And that's just the way it goes. And you know what? I mean, I've taken breaks from this show to go on other people's show. I hope people will be the same kind of appreciation that I've done for others, that they'll do for me as well, whenever we want to do guests and collaborations and stuff like that. But that's just the way things go sometimes, boys and girls. So we're going to have a fun tonight. We're going to talk about some things. There's a lot of great stuff going on out there in the news. It's been rumored. People have said it. I haven't said it, but other people have said it. And it sounds like a good saying. It sounds like a great saying that 2024 is the year that woke goes to die. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there's a very good possibility for that. There's a lot of evidence going on out there for this. So we've got a whole bunch of fun stories that we're going to go over with that as well. And then, of course, Space Marine 2 is out there absolutely crushing it. Not only crushing Xeno scum, not only purging heretics, but literally out there crushing it. Has made it to the #1 spot on Warhammer's overall list of all time, absolutely crushing all of the rest of the competition. The game's great. I had a blast. We wasted I wouldn't say wasted. We had a great time. On Monday, I literally played that game for like 15 hours. I played it with Lumpy Potatoes and Pudge TV, old Uncle Pudge over there on YouTube. And then I got to play with myself for a little while. And then
I do that all the time.
I believe that live. I did. I did it live twice that day. Fortunately enough, the camera wasn't in the right position. It's too small for anybody to see on camera anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But also, but then of course, Quarter Black Garrett, I had conned him into that early on, and he doesn't buy games early access, so we got to play that. It was me, Quarter Black Garrett, and Ark. We got to play that from about 8 until midnight, and then I had to play with myself again for the last couple of hours. And yeah, that game's terribly addicting because I was like, oh, I'm only going to play for another hour, and then all of a sudden I look at my clock and it's 1:30, and I'm like, fuck. No, I have to go to bed. So that's the reason why the show was late. I know that feeling. Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay, so I did that with the first time I ever can remember doing that with a video game and legitimately losing track of time. I had black and white for the PC, and we had a little library in our basement that didn't have any windows to the rest of the place, right? I went in there and started playing black and white. I was probably like 10 o'clock at night. It was basically after everybody was already laid down and getting ready to go to bed. All I remember was going, man, I'm starting to get kind of tired. Maybe I should probably go to bed. I walk out of the library. I open up the door. I can see the sun coming over there. And I'm like, ooh, whoopsie.
That's one of the reasons I never got into video games, because I knew people who would get sucked in like that. But I was wasting my time at bars and clubs when everyone else was playing video games all night.
I think I don't know. I think we might have panned out on the better for that one. I'm not sure. I think we might have panned out on the better for that one. Yeah, but, that was one of the first times I can legitimately doing that.
Is it still going to be at 6:00 your time?
That's the plan.
Okay. I might be late every once in a while because Thursdays is when I get my weekly IV. So I normally don't do anything on Thursdays because of that. But
hey,
I can.
I think you should call it Thursday Night Thursdays.
That's a great idea. If you're not going to use it, I might steal that. Hey, I think I thought, Jesse, I thought I was here from the very first show.
Well, I was doing a live show all by myself in the evening in the very beginning, where I didn't even have like a thumb. That was when everything still said under construction. You remember when the thumbnail was under construction? Like that's literally what my thumbnail was. It was for under construction, and I think it was doing it on Wednesdays. But I think when we actually figured out a name and stuff like that, you were around. So like when we officially launched it as an actual like legitimate, we had a plan and what the fuck we were gonna do. Yeah, you literally were here at the very beginning for that.
Yeah, that was probably exactly around 2 years ago, man, like 2022, because like it was after I had that back surgery, man, and like went back to the hospital and times you out of Quarter Black Garrett's chat, and we've been great friends ever since.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like fall of 2022 or some shit.
Yeah, I breathed on the phone and like I wiped out the chat. Garrett was like, Diesel, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know. That was fucked.
I was like, I was telling you exactly.
And now I'm a mod in this
I
chat.
know, dude. I was in the hospital. I was like all wasted off freaking what's that stuff? It works okay for about
codeine?
Works hydrocodone. Oxycodone. It was like it's good for 2 days.
Did it have Tylenol in it? Did it have Tylenol in it? Then it wasn't oxycodone. It was a Percocet or something like that. Because oxycodone straight has no Tylenol. That's what I'm on. Because Tylenol is evil.
Yeah, well, it was oxycodone or something.
Either way, he was all fucked up.
After about day 3, though, it quit being fun, and it was just like, now I just feel like I'm gonna throw up in it.
Oh,
It was about 2 days. I was like, this is nice. And about day 3, I was like, why am I dizzy and feel like I'm gonna throw up? Why am I having withdrawal?
My system doesn't care about intravenous painkillers, but certain like oral painkillers, even if it's the exact same thing, my system just doesn't deal with it very well. But I remember when I had my emergency gallbladder surgery, they put me on Dilaudid IV.
Ooh.
And it was really funny because the nurse told my mom, don't worry, this was specifically made to be less addicting. It doesn't make you feel good. And I was like, my nose feels kind of warm, and now my face feels kind of warm. Like, I've got fire in my veins. I'm the Human Torch. So fucking high. I just kept naming like every fire superhero that existed, and I kept freaking out the nurses by going, "I'm the Human Torch," and then I passed out. But my mom,
they cut you off right then. They were just like,
oh my god,
that thing, Diesel. I think it was about June of 2022.
Yeah, it was because I had surgery at the beginning of June, and I had to go back after a couple of weeks because like they didn't give me antibiotics, and I got staph infection, man, and I had to go back and get a pick line running in my arm for like the next 2 or 3 months, which was lovely, especially when the bill came.
I will never get a pick line. I love my port. It is inside me. It is sealed. It almost cannot get infected unless someone screws up royally. Oh, I love it.
If they had given me antibiotics and stuff, I didn't realize that I was gonna get this every single time. I told them that I had staph before, and when you have that for certain surgeries like that, like you have to get you got to get antibiotics for something like that. Like when I had my arm surgery, the guy told me that it wasn't a quote dirty surgery, like something to do with like your bone. Like that was my back because they had to like put screws and stuff in my vertebra, and then the hernia surgery too. But like I'm giving them 10. They sent me the bill for that, and it's like $5,000. So I'm like, I've been paying them $10 a month, and we're paying them $10 a month for the rest of eternity.
There you go.
Sounds good to me.
Because I'm just like, I'm not paying you any more than that. I know I did. It's not even my damn fault.
You guys have all these fun stories about painkillers. The best one I ever got was when I had my wisdom teeth pulled out, and my sergeant told me, "Look, this is what you do." He says, "You pick up the night before your surgery, you go pick up a 6-pack of beer, and you stick it in your fridge." I probably bought a 12-pack. I don't remember. Either way. So he says, and then what you do is you go home after you're done. He says, you take a couple of those. He says, you take your pill, you crack open a beer, you take your pills, you drink your beer. By the time you get up to get that second beer, you're not going to get up. And that's exactly what I did. And yeah, he was right. I never made it to that second beer.
When my wisdom
teeth
came in,
high or nothing like that.
They came in so fast. They literally shifted my teeth, and $5,000 of braces was just destroyed.
Oh my god!
See, I had
came in like 2 weeks. Like, I was 16. I was in high school, and they came in like 2 weeks and just literally shoved all my teeth around. It was horrible.
Jesse,
when I went to the surgeon, he went, I had to take these ones out in 2 or 3 pieces, and this one out in 4 pieces, and that one in 6 pieces. You should file for surgery, not just oral surgery, because that's what we had to do on you. And they've given me gas because a lot of the regular painkillers don't work on me very well. I have a resistance from my dad, and Mom came to pick me up, and I'm on the gas, the giggle gas, and I'm like bouncing off the walls trying to walk straight, going, I'm in so much pain, like with this huge smile on my face because I'm full of the giggle gas.
Yeah, I had 5 wisdom teeth, and they were all impacted. Like I'm a mutant. I had an extra one.
You had a 5th tooth?
Yep.
Fucking
I'm special.
Freak of nature. That's what you get for all that fucking southern.
It's my superior genes and DNA. Man.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, I had a dude.
I don't have any teeth.
I had a dude that was working. I had a guy that was working at Rite Aid, man, and he was stealing like back when they made them like Loricet 10s, like 10.25s or whatever, and he was selling them for like $2 a pop. So I would buy the whole bottle and just get, dude, how am I alive? I would just be drinking. I would just be drinking every night and then taking I think I took 32 of them things one night, man.
What?
Well, you were very nearly not alive, so there's that.
Yeah, no shit. We had a fucking guy in tech school when I was in Pensacola that fucking was robo tripping and got his ass fucking kicked out of the Air Force doing that dumbass shit.
Yeah, man, I got
What's robo tripping.
It's where, you know what Robitussin is, the cough syrup. It's where you drink like a half a fucking bottle of it and shit. Yeah, because technically there's an alcohol content, but everything else in it just fucking makes you sideways.
It puts you in a like a dreamlike state. I know I'd wound up on that stuff too, man. It's awful.
I think
I'm telling you, dude, I've done like I'm glad to be a person.
I am one of the only patients my pain specialist has who hasn't had any hallucinations on ketamine. Every time I go to sleep, sometimes I sleepwalk and freak them all out, but I never get to have any hallucinations. I'm pissed.
No, you're not. No, you don't. No,
poor thing.
That stuff ain't no good, man. You don't want that stuff. Some people don't.
Shit. We lost Tiny.
Some people don't come back from that, man.
That's all.
She fell into a K-hole finally.
When she comes back, let's pretend she just joined the show for the first time.
There you go. That'll be great. All right, let me go through some of this chat here real quick. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, just for shits and giggles, Rumble, and Kick as well through some backward stuff. No Twitter tonight, but that's just the way things go when money gets tight. So yeah, boys and girls. And this actually, I highlighted this morning, but we'll highlight it again. Nasaber Unlimited became a YouTube channel member today. Thank you very much for that. At the Tourist Nerd level. Appreciate that. Speaking of fine channel members, X-Tarlina 27. Hello, X-Tarlina. Good to see you, darling. Glad you made it in as well. Animation Overload. What's up, buddy? Greetings, programs. How's everybody doing? Good so far, my friend. Shadow Warden 99, one of our very fine channel subscribers over on Rumble. Good to see you, Shadow Warden. Little Peen Lux, what's up, nephew? Good to see you, buddy. Glad you made it in as well. Jim Bone over on Rumble, Flatty, aka Flattiest Esfer, one of our very fine channel subscribers. Good to see you. Glad to see everyone, especially meth manufacturer. Ooh, I wonder who the meth manufacturer is on the show. We'll have to figure that out here in a little bit. Yeah, Jack, probably Jack. It's probably Jack. Jimbo holding down at the Twitch as well. Good to see you, Jimbo. Good to see you. Make sure we don't miss anybody. Trying to understand a Russian Jew born in the Soviet Union, then moved to Israel, and having to understand a mix of Russian, Yiddish, and Hebrew accents. Ooh, rough. Yeah, it took the Sex Pest a while to notice that. Yeah, it did. Yeah, talking about Jack and figuring out all that kind of stuff.
Don't say rough too many times. A Haitian might come in and try and eat you.
Rough. No, that's meow. It's only been ducks and cats so far. I haven't heard anything about dogs.
They're eating the cats.
I don't care.
The dogs.
I don't care if they eat the geese. Geese are assholes, man.
That's fair.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. Geese are like wildfowl, and like we hunt geese. Yeah, but we don't hunt cats. We don't hunt dogs. Okay.
No,
there is no dog season
unless you're X-ray girl or something.
Well, I mean, that's a whole different situation in that particular case. Like, that's not her fault. That's just the way she was raised. Yeah, okay. Man. That's just the way she was raised. That's her people.
What's her name? Lila Hart. She's always done eating dogs.
This The Haitian outdoor barbecue. This is just to keep people distracted from the Venezuelan gangs taking over the apartment buildings. Guys, this is don't fall for it.
That's actually probably legitimate. Yeah, that's actually probably legitimate. I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, that's very funny. That is very funny. But boys and girls, Animation Overload points out just subbed to the second channel. And yeah, we've got a new one over there that we're going to be putting a little bit of our shorter content on. Always good to diversify, spread things out, try to get that one monetized as well. Because obviously the algorithm over here on this channel actually absolutely hates our guts because we were bad boys and showed some leaked things that we probably weren't supposed to. Speaking of leaked things that weren't supposed to, Tiny But Fierce. So glad you finally made it to the show. How you doing tonight, darling?
Welcome.
Good to see you. Well, thanks for joining.
God, when I finally have my new little area set up and I have a little space designated for streaming, I'm going to put something up so the cat can't get at any wires.
What is Katsumi like attacking the wires?
Yes. I'm convinced she's going to electrocute at some point. She loves to try to catch and chew on the wires, and I'm trying to stop her, which made me knock everything over, which made me get disconnected from you guys.
Don't let her wind up like Christmas Vacation.
Oh God, I
just don't want her to fry.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's saying. Let's not have that happen. Yeah. Holy cow.
That cat's cute. Let's not.
She doesn't understand though.
But yeah, thank you, Animation Overload. Yeah, so if you guys could all go check that out, we're still gonna be posting videos over here as well to try to push back against the algorithm as much as we can and kind of trying to grind through it. So we'll still be putting out 1 to 2 a day over here as well. The bigger ones, longer form content, that kind of stuff. The stuff that's like 16, some of the stuff that ends up like 20-minute long. Sometimes those ones will be over here, but the shorter ones that are around like 10 minutes and stuff like that, majority of those, you'll see a little bit of crossplay. I'm gonna try to avoid that as much as possible, especially if we get closer and closer to monetization on those channels. Also, the same thing with the gaming channel. If you're not already subscribed to the gaming channel, go subscribe to the gaming channel as well, because a lot of our gaming news is going to go over there as well. Unless it's something big and trending and all of that kind of stuff, then it will go over here, but the majority of the gaming news is going to go over there as well. So we're going to kind of diversify everything, kind of streamline the content so that way the algorithm doesn't get angry at us for doing too many damn things at once, and hopefully that'll give both those channels a chance to take off and kind of do something cool. So definitely go check out all of that stuff. Thank you guys very, very much. And as always, Streamlabs bot doing its job. Direct donos are one of the best ways to support the channel because this is my full-time job. So thank you guys all for making that possible. And speaking of people that make things possible, Little Peen looks for $1.99. Thank you, my friend. Says for $1.99. I'm pretty sure that's a penis, but it might be
it's the very pointy endy penis.
Very
cock and balls, but
the cock and balls.
That's what it is.
For $1.99. Thank you, Little Peen Lux. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. Very, very, very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. All right. All night gaming is better than damaging your liver. That is true as well, Shadow Warden. That is very true as well. See, there you go. Exactly. So yeah, I did the right thing on that one. Tiny but torched. Hojo! Oh yeah, and this one too. Yeah, the tiny torch. Exactly. Yeah, the tiny torch. Tiny but torched. I think tiny but torched is the good one though. I think that one's the good one. Hojo! What's going on, my friend? Hojo, you want to come hang out? You got time this evening? You can come hang out. This is the last Winding Down Wednesday show, buddy. You want to come hang out? Let me know. I'll shoot you the link. Says, what's up, fellas? Good to see you. And Miss Tiny, of course, Miss Tiny. Just got done with Little League and a scrimmage of the year. First Little League scrimmage of the year. Listening to you guys while I sip a cold one and get dinner ready. Okay. Well, that works then. Well, you have fun with that, my friend. You have fun with that. Yeah, if I would have had extra money, I would have totally made a celebration out of this and got beer or something like that since it's the last show. But I'm broke right now. So that's the way things go. But rent got paid, and that's the really important part. Just Shadow and Tiny Quinn. There you go. I'm on that galaxy gas. There you go, Little Peen. Oh, that is great. Tiny needs to try San Pedro or ayahuasca if she wants hallucinations. That's true. I have some very nice gummies from a very nice company that I actually have a sponsorship. Go check out. Damn it, where's the link in the chat? The Rumble bottle. Drop it later. But go check out. Oh, I don't have their bag.
Stay up for about 3 days.Maybe about
do not do it that
day
way.
3. You'll start hallucinating, man.
No, don't do that. Good God, no, don't do that. But yeah, damn it. I wish Madhouse was here. He'd remember what the hell it was. I'm having a brain fart right
stay up for 3 hours.
Give him the guy that says up to 4 o'clock in the morning. But yes, absolutely. No, the gummies. Road trip gummies. Link in the description. Link in the description over there on Rumble. Road trip gummies with the discount code CommonNerd. you will get 25, I think it's 20% off your entire order, which I'm going to use my own code from here on out too, because that's a great fucking deal. So go check out Road Trip Gummies. They're great. They are a Native American ceremonial blend is specifically what the ingredients say. They're not FDA approved. They don't treat any kind of medical anything. You know what? Just go check out their website, see what you think. All I can say is that me and Pudge TV both absolutely fucking love them. Absolutely fucking love them. We love them. They're completely legal. You can order them. Your United States Postal Man will drop them off at your door. They're delicious. They taste really good. You know, they got great little dosing instructions on them. Go check out that stuff. So yeah.
Is it like in Thunderheart?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
The only Thunderheart I know is
Spirit walk with your ancestors.
Don't be driving.
Are you talking about what was the name of that fucking movie? I'm having a brain fart. Young Guns? Are you gonna start talking about a chicken here in a second?
Probably equally applicable.
Ooh, you know what I thought about? I thought about Lionheart, man. You remember that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? He like had 2 or 3 of them that were like, what?
Another Care Bear.
Thunderheart and Lionheart are both Care Bears.
Oh, the fucking Care Bears. Okay, see, I never really watched that cartoon much as a kid, so yeah, I missed that one. That's why.
Yeah, man, the Care Bear movie was pretty hardcore. They had to fight like an evil demon book.
Yeah, who's taking all the joy out of the world.
Yeah, man. See, back in the day, they didn't make these stupid ass kiddie movies for little kids. Hey, we're gonna make for little kids. It was like people were dying in them movies, man, and like it was death and like
Never Ending Story. That death of the horse still fucking fucks me up.
Oh, dude, that chokes everybody up. If you don't cut onions on that part, you have no soul and you're a bastard. So Jack probably doesn't cut any onions during that scene. But yeah.
I don't.
I start masturbating.
Fucking gang, color me shocked there on that one. Jesus, yeah. See, keep sending donations. I'm gonna need a drink if I got to deal with Jack with this kind of shit all fucking night long. Making dead traces of seafood says all cats are bastards, but I would have to be very, very hungry to eat one over on Rumble. Good to see you making.
I'm not eating a cat, man. You ever see, man? Dude, I don't know. Like cats drink water, and for some reason, when they pee, it's like nerve gas. I'm like, I don't know what biological processes happen inside a cat, but good. You go pee in a litter box. Oh my god, it's like the acid from the alien blood and stuff, man.
Can you also catch toxoplasmosis from cats as well?
Well, yeah, toxoplasmosis will melt your brain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't that something like you don't even like? Isn't that like just like from having cats around though?
Well,
like,
it's a parasite that mainly lives in felines.
Like chicks will have a cat.
It's really funny. If you ever see a mouse or another very small prey animal attacking a cat or chasing a cat, it probably has toxoplasmosis. It's this weird bacteria that can only reproduce in a cat's gut. So and then it comes out in their feces and then it gets spread around. And if a mouse or something eats it, it messes with their brain so that they don't have fear anymore, so that they're more likely to be eaten by a cat so that they can reproduce. And humans who take care of cats have to be careful about their feces because they can get it too. And it doesn't make us lose fear. It makes us lose all sorts of other shit.
Right.
Like you want to
eat neurological damage. I did a lot of research before I got a cat.
you start eating cats and each other.
Guys, if you're dating a chick and she lets the cat walk across the dining room table, get out of there quickly.
Yeah,
get
man,
out of
you
there
don't
quickly.
want that. Yeah, man. Well, I'm not dealing with no pets, man. I had a kid. Like you can eventually teach a kid to crap in the toilet, man.
You can teach a cat to crap in the toilet too.
Yeah, but like it's way more effort than a kid. I'm telling you, I've seen that they put it in a Maxim ad. It's all these steps you have to do. First, you got to start putting you got to put like cellophane over the toilet seat and kitty litter on it and trying to get the cat to step on there with the seats down and everything. And then eventually you take away this cellophane and the kitty litter and the cat goes to poop in it. They had detailed instructions. Maxim used to be a pretty cool magazine back in the day, man.
That's true.
That was like 23 years ago, man.
You did read it for the articles.
That's right.
I read it.
I actually read that magazine from the articles, man.
I bought it for the hot chicks and read the articles.
No, my dad.
I thought it was hilarious that if I read that magazine, every guy around me flipped a shit. So I would read it for the articles because it made every guy flip a shit, and I thought it was hilarious.
Well, oh, it's really funny too. Like our little small town in Missouri had still has a Walker. It's a 5 and dime. It's a variety store, right?
Mhm.
And the first time he got a Maxim magazine in, like the old ladies and the old ladies that were like, "Oh, you're carrying this kind of thing now, huh?" And he's like because like it said, like it's described as a health and fitness magazine, right? Because that's what a lot of the articles are about. Yeah, and it
hot
was,
chicks in it, man.
but it's got hot chicks on
Who
it.
were
So
healthy and fit.
absolutely, they were.
Yeah,
they were
exactly,
fit.
man. I mean, it was
They were fit
like,
as shit.
people used
But
to.
you know,
I got one of my favorite bathing suits from reading Maxim.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
It encouraged me to exercise daily.
Instead of putting fat, disgusting people, unattractive people on the cover of the magazine, they would put hot, in shape chicks on there, and no, it's sold. And then they had like tips in there, and like serious. There was pages instructing you how to teach your cat to use the toilet. Man, I was reading. I was like, this is interesting. I'm never gonna do this, but this is actually kind of interesting.
We used to be a proper country.
We did used to be a proper country.
That's right. We did used to be a proper country. But
I remember.
It was funny as shit because like all these old ladies are like, in their 60s and 70s, so they see something like that and they're like, "Oh my god, it's porn," and that shit.
I saw Helena Bonham Carter on that magazine, and I had seen Fight Club, and I was like, "Who the hell is this?" I was like,
"Oh yeah,"
looked good on the magazine, and I was like, "What?"
Well, see, because I knew her from like Sleepy Hollow and a lot of other things too. So
Jack is repulsed. He can't stand that shit.
Really?
Jack is repulsed.
Yeah. Buddy, she's got that. I don't know. She's got that gothic warped kind of freaky hot. I don't know what it is.
It was that one only on that Maxim cover, Jack. Only on the Maxim cover. I didn't know who it was, and they put the name on there, and I was like, "This is wrong," because it was like it didn't even look like her.
Hey, this one time the Maxim photographers shot Oprah, and they made her look hot. They could do anything.
No,
now they put
can't see that.
Who they put on there? They put like 80-year-old Martha Stewart on there or something, man.
It's a lot of
Photoshop people in the country worked for those types of magazines back in the day.
Jesus. Mud Crab says, dual stream, I can now sling abuse at my Rumble self. Yes, you can. You can abuse yourself all you want to in my chat. Jack does it all the time.
Yeah, I did it for decades,
man. Jason Sandberg for $10 direct donation. No, that mean we could instantly got beer, but direct for beer money for the future. Jason Sandberg. I don't know if that one go around for a second.
Man, it's like,
I made my soundbite too short, so I have to play it several times.
I've got two of them, and the other one just goes on for a while.
It's like sex with me. It's either too short or it's really, really, really long.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's pretty much.
I'm gonna miss these Wednesday hangouts, guys. This is just wonderful hanging out with you. I'm gonna miss it. Mm-hmm. Hope the Thursday show has the same magic.
Yeah. Thursday night Thursdays is going to be great.
Yeah, Thursday night Thursday or titillating Thursdays, and emphasis on the tit.
So something I want, as someone who lives in Minnesota, something I want to point out to you, as you have to deal with Tim Walz more and more. What he does, nobody actually likes him. So his technique is he'll point to imaginary people in the audience and like point to them and go, yeah, look good, do like that. Like, yeah. So whereas someone like Trump, everyone is clapping and smiling at him. So he's just kind of broadly going like this. Tim is kayfabing by pointing at people and going, oh, yeah, I see you. That's his little life hack.
Yeah, so he's pretending, he's using his imagination to pretend like there's somebody that doesn't hate his freaking guts.
Yep.
That kind of reminds me of like all the people on Twitter who tried to take down Geeks and Gamers and had it all blow up in their face. Yeah.
By doing a targeted harassment campaign, they literally, like, how do you know it's that stupid? I mean, if each of them had done their stupid little, we're going to all post the same shit and push this, if they'd done it at different times, it might not have been quite so obvious, but no, we're all going to do it at 10 a.m. You idiots. Morons.
Dude, it was so bad.
I mean, they were morons to begin with, but when they did that, they just shat the bed. I mean, it's beyond, like, you literally broke the TOS to try to take someone down. How stupid can you be?
Absolutely.
They literally launched shit at a fan, and it sprayed spectacularly all over them.
Yep.
Yeah, and that
remember
was
an airplane when they actually threw shit in the fan and it just kind of went plop. The shit's really gonna hit the fan now. And it was like plop.
Well, and you know what's funny? That's one of our wins that we should talk about, because this is great. Because this is what happened, and this was glorious. This was fabulous. This was absolutely hilarious. I'm glad Tiny segued off onto that so very, very excitedly, because this is hilarious. So this is, I love how Cosmic Book News was like one of the only, well, okay, so everybody reported on it. Cosmic Book News did some updates and stuff like that, and a lot of everybody else just kind of did one article over this and they just kind of let it go. But I love how Cosmic Book News like doesn't even mention like any of these people's names. It strictly refers to them as Amandla Stenberg stands. And like even when you go all the way down in here too, like wouldn't
it have been smarter to call them Stamberg?
Ooh.
There you go. That was cute.
But like he doesn't even say their name. He like, shout out to Matt. I think this was Matt McGloin that wrote this one, because he writes most of this stuff over there. But yeah, like he never even puts their name in here. He just says they're
number one.
Yeah, it's so she blames fans for cancellation. Her small amount of supporters have taken to social media in an attempt to get Star Wars fans' accounts on YouTube shut down. And so, like, it even goes through what the supporter, like the letter, and it talks about, it tags Geeks and Gamers, RK Outpost, Nerdrotic, but it never mentions their name in here at all, which I think is fucking hilarious. But of course, we know where all of this started. It really actually started on our dear sweet Rewriting Ripley is where all of this actually started, because Rewriting Ripley is the one that we can trace back to the very first. They were the earliest ones to do this. It was this one is literally the one that, and this was Central Time. It dropped literally at 10 a.m. It was 9 a.m. Eastern is when theirs dropped. And then it was 5 minutes later that Molly's dropped with the exact same pictures and everything else. It wasn't a retweet. It wasn't a quote tweet. It wasn't anything like that. It was literally the same pictures that she literally dropped. Like not even
they did that stupid video years ago, man, where it was funny because it had Ryan Kennel. It just showed him later on getting like, first he's like all clean shaven, looked like he was like, I don't know, about 15, and then he just like he just kept getting angrier and more jaded and got a goatee and everything as the video went on.
Yeah, those videos from when Ryan was very first starting out, he looks like he's 12.
Yeah, and so we don't need to listen to the whole thing, because like literally they try to connect it to Milo Yiannopoulos.
Which makes no sense.
Right, because they claimed it was a similar harassment campaign that he did this. So yeah, they've got Gary in here, which here I'll share this.
Nobody's harassing the audio. Your show is garbage. They just call it out. Nobody's harassing.
Yeah, Stenberg has never been fucking oppressed in her entire life.
No, nobody's ever sent her any racist comments.
The best part of this for me was the post from Drunk 3PO that shows the Bring Back Gina petition, which got over 88,000 signatures, and the Bring Back Acolyte, which didn't get over 66,000 signatures.
No, there was more signatures on the Bring Back Gina one than there was the rest of them. Oh yeah, it was by a lot.
Their whole house of cards it's just garbage. Everything that they do is like, it's based on nothing, man. It's just, and if you ignore it or just tell them to piss off, like, YouTube did, it's just like, what are you gonna do?
They're just angry at Milo because he decided to not be gay anymore and turn back to Christianity.
That's honestly, well, and Milo had kind of because I was following Milo when a lot of that stuff was going down, because I thought he was just outrageous and over the top, which I thought he was a caricature. I thought that's what he was supposed to be, and essentially that's really what it was. But the kid also has got a lot of crazy trauma and a lot of crazy back stuff, and it kind of went. It was we saw. Wow. Okay.
What we saw. Poppins is evil. I cannot understand anyone whose brain thinks Mary Poppins is evil.
Have you ever heard his argument for it?
Yep.
Okay.
I heard his entire argument, and I think it's a little bit nuts.
Okay. Anyway, not to concentrate too much on Milo, but what we watched was a person who had gone through a lot of childhood trauma literally lose it, break down, and have it all let out of the entire cat let out of the bag right in front of God and everybody. And it And so like that's something that should have been handled in like a psychiatrist or psychologist's office and stuff like that. And because he was a popular person, it all just kind of ended up coming out in the media all at once. And so but like it was that was part of the whole thing. But like I said, not to go.
The show was even announced when it was.
So you've got all of their videos in here and everything else, and this one is one of my favorites because this is way back. This is baby-faced D-Day Cobra. You know, from all the way back. Yeah, look at that baby face. Look at that bare background, all white, no lighting. You know, a blue Yeti microphone, like what I started out on. Well, a lot of people started out on. Some people still have.
This is before he aged from playing Mario Kart.
Right. And this is where they try to like bring up like let's see here. Let's just listen to Jeremy for a second. Let's see what this part is
for. It's not here for story. It's not exist for.
Oh, just a concept. No one had even seen it.
This is what the Acolyte exists for. It's not here for story. It's not here to build the lore. For crying out loud, look at the cast right here. This cast was made for having as little white males as possible in this cast.
You know, Lucasfilm, the retarded Avengers assemble over there, backing each other up.
Racist news get together.
He accused Jones of playing the victim.
Actress Amanda Stenberg playing the victim card.
They can do nothing other than play the victim. Amanda Stenberg, the adult pretender.
Pathological sociopath.
Well, and this is my favorite part. It's like, what's wrong with calling them an adult pretender? That's what they do. They're grown people who play pretend for a living. That's what acting is. It's no different than when your kid pretends to be a dog and runs around the house barking. It's just a much more complex and complicated form of it. You know, and it's like I said, the clips.
Or when someone thinks they don't have a penis.
Dude, the retarded Avengers song was hilarious. And
it's just, I love that they've got, and then Theory, they tried to lump Theory in with all of this as well. And then, let's see, which clip is this from, Ryan?
Look at that. I got a Derek Chauvin George Floyd memorial. But
and that's the thing. It's fucking funny.
Look at those.
But that's he's right because they all believe they still all believe the George Floyd bullshit. To this very fucking day, they still believe all of it, 100%.
That they're not willing to put in any energy to find out the truth.
You can show them the truth. It will not matter, man. You can show them facts and things like that. And
that's the thing. They won't listen. They bury their heads. They bury their heads in the sand. They don't want to listen to it.
Nope.
The only thing that matters is political power, and by laughing at them, we're taking away their power.
Yeah, and they can't stand it. And that's what this was. It's like if they would put this much effort into their videos and their editing as they do making up these kind of fucking things.
Nauseating, man.
Oh yeah.
I wish he had made a video like that when it got canceled. Versus the sad ceiling fan hairdresser video. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for her to come back stronger from all this and maybe be like, I'm better than this. I'm better than this Disney crap. So I'm hoping she grows from all this. And
you're talking about Steinberg?
Yes.
No. You do realize her history, right? Like this chick has been like a childhood actress since she was a little girl.
She was Rue. When I found out that she was Rue from Hunger Games, I was shocked because that kid could act.
Oh, wow.
But the other thing is as well is that she plays the violin way better than she acts. So I don't know why she doesn't focus on that.
Well, because then she can't push her message. It's not as big of an audience. You know that. It's not as big of a platform to play violin. It's like the English and old white people are the only people that listen to people play the violin anymore. So, yeah. But I just thought this was hilarious because it blew up in their faces. And this, of course, was Team YouTube's response. Thanks for reaching out. Just heard back and confirmed that this content is not violative and will remain up. We totally understand you may not agree with this decision, but we reviewed this video very carefully against our policies.
Womp to the fucking womp.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that was fucking hilarious. And of course, they locked down the replies, they locked down the comments, all of this. I mean, you can't comment to this at all in any way, shape, or form. Rewriting Ripley eventually had a full-blown meltdown. They went off on Team YouTube. Team YouTube, this is an admission that you have not reviewed our concerns, proven by saying this video when there are 10 plus videos in question. However, thank you for confirming your inability to take safety seriously. You and your advertisers will be hearing more from us soon.
Woke.
Yeah. Well, and this is the funny thing. Additionally, I would like to point out, Team YouTube, nobody in the Star Wars fandom has requested selected videos be removed or simply that a handful of YouTube channels should be demonetized. The lack of clarity in response to our real concerns is appalling. Appalling.
I'm sorry. Anyone who thinks Ripley needs to be rewritten is appalling by itself. I've always hated that fucking site from the minute I first saw it.
Well, and rewriting Ripley has been nothing but a hack, spirit of the age, acolyte of the cult, woke talking headpiece since as far as I can fucking remember. I mean, like, I think, what is it? They were the ones that like started all the crazy shit with the first Disney Star Wars movie that came out and all of the supposed racism nonsense. That was not what was going on with John Boyega in any way, shape, or form. There was just a lot of normie fans out there that were fucking confused because the last thing they knew anything about stormtroopers, that they were all clones. And that turned into, Yeah, clones and evil, right? And so, like, this is just a bunch of normies that didn't know any better, and Rewriting Ripley and a lot of the rest of these news websites ran to say it was racism. They're the same ones that said that we were all racist against Kelly Tran and all of this other bullshit, Kelly Marie Tran and all this other bullshit. And it was Disney. It was Disney that was shrinking John Boyega on the posters.
You know, Finn was actually an interesting character that they did nothing with because, like, you were just like, hey, man, this is like this stormtrooper who was like rebelled against the programming and was like, I don't want no part of this. That's interesting. You could have done something with that, but you're I can't even. I don't know. I don't even want to say. I don't even want to make a bunch of.
All right,
Jason,
well,
I'm
going to give my thoughts on that here in just a second as well. But I hear somebody with Jupe with a comic book out that's currently shipping and delivering on fundmycomic.com has to go.
That's
Jason
right.
Sandberg.
That's right. This is my last Wednesday with y'all. I'll see you Thursdays, I hope. Jupiter is in demand on Fund My Comic at Indiegogo. Go check it out. Order ship the following day. One of the first shows I was on was this show, and I had a great time, and I felt at home, and I loved the panel. And after a couple weeks, I said, Jesse, I'd like to hang out with you more. And so I've been a semi-regular, and I've had my little picture on the little thumbnail over here. That's me there with all my glasses. I've had a great time. Everybody on this panel, guests past and present, fantastic time. I'm sad that the Wednesday hangout is ending, but nothing good ever lasts in this fragile life of ours. So continue to have good laughs, continue to vote with your dollars, vote for stuff you actually love, and then take the piss out of the crap the corporations are trying to shove down our throat, and have a fantastic week. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jason.
Love you, brother.
Feel
better, my man.
You've been a great part of this for the whole time.
Thank you. And now I'm going to do, in honor of J.R.R. Tolkien, I'm going to do my world famous Bilbo Baggins impersonation.
He's got to go now.
Jason Sandberg, ladies and gentlemen, go check out Jupiter on fundmycomic.com.
Jason's awesome, man.
Jason's a great dude. Yeah, and definitely, if he has time, he will definitely be invited to the Thursday show. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Yes, thank you, Jimbo, and thank you, Fladius Aspire, for dropping those links.
And I hope he gets better soon.
Yes. Our dude Jason is under the weather, but he's already on the mend. He's already on the mend. He's getting sleep. He's got himself lots of drugs. He's doing better already. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this is the other thing too. Like I always felt that John Boyega got screwed in that whole series, right? Because you give us this great introduction in the beginning, you put it in the trailer, you put the lightsaber in his hand, right? And then you fucking go nowhere with it, which that's a problem in and of itself, because anybody that can even halfway decent wield a lightsaber and not cut their fucking arm off within the first 15 seconds generally has some kind of force intuition to them. Like that's always been the way the lore has been written. That's always the way the canon been written. That's why Jedi used the lightsabers, why other people didn't use them, because of their force sensitivity was the only way that made them able to properly wield one without fucking cutting their damn head off. And so to show that and then just go, then you just make him into a butt of a joke for the rest of the fucking series. Fuck you. Hashtag justice for John Boyega. You know what I mean? That was fucked up because I expected us to come out of there with 2 Jedis. I expected us to come out of there with 2 Jedis. And no, it turned into nothing but fucking Ray, fucking Raylo. And fuck that shit. John Boyega got screwed on that one.
And what's more is it wasn't about Kelly Marie Tran. It was about Rose Tico.
It was all
Tran is a fine person and she's a fine actress. There are fine people on both sides. But it was the character of Rose Tico. It was a pointless insert. That's all it was. It was just a pointless insert. It didn't have
anything to do. If you'd given her some actual like motivation or something like that, yeah, that makes some sense. But she had nothing. She had. I'm trying to think of the word they're always saying they want people to have. It's not action, whatever. But she had nothing.
Something.
She was an empty shell of a character. They didn't give her anything to do or anything to push.
She had no charisma.
Well, there was just no arc, was there? There was no story arc for her.
She was a horrible character.
She was as flat as Taylor Swift's ass.
Flat as a witch's tit.
I thought it was cold as a witch's tit.
Yeah.
All that
same
stuff,
as well.
Man. All that stuff. No, she was as cold as my egg swore.
Is she dead?
Oh man, ain't nothing that cold. Like corpses are warmer than that.
Anyway, Kelly Marie Tran. Nothing wrong with her. Rose Tico, shit character. They did nothing with that character, and there was nothing to do with that character. But they also did nothing with. Was it Finn? Was it or Flynn or
Finn?
Finn, yeah. And you could have done something with him.
Yeah,
that's
man. That's a whole interesting concept of a stormtrooper that was like, "I'm out, yo. I'm done. I've seen, and they put it in that first teaser. That was cool, man. The first thing you see is that, you hear that musical cue, and he stands up in the friggin' desert, and you're like, dude, this is a dude, a stormtrooper. He took his helmet off, and something's gone down, man. Let's see what's going on.
He crashed in a TIE fighter, didn't even know how to fly the freaking thing, but he escaped and then he crashed in the TIE fighter, didn't he?
Yeah, well, what's his name? What's his name? Was Oscar Isaac was flying the TIE fighter.
Was he?
Yeah. And he thought
I don't even remember. I've seen the film like once.
I've seen that first one a few times, man. Because I kept thinking it was good. At the end, it built up to like, and then you're like, "Oh, Luke Skywalker." But it was just like, and then you're just like, and then
yeah, exactly.
Now it's just, and now it's just, I can't. I don't care about any of it. It's nothing but a giant pile of apathy for me. Although I did go to Ollie's and I had to buy some plastic containers because I'm still moving stuff out of my old place, man. And I did see that there's nothing but two aisle on both sides is nothing but garbage Marvel from all the Stage 4 stuff and garbage Star Wars. That's all that's in there in the toy section, man. It's that garbage. I was like, I've never been in that store before. So it's like I went in there and it's just like all that garbage, man. It's just like, dude, Star Wars was like that was literally a money printing machine back in like 2008 when they had all the retro G.I. Joe stuff, and that like they came out with the 3 3/4 G.I. Joe figures, the Star Wars figures, and they made the Joes had the vintage car backs, and they looked like the cartoon, which is awesome. I get they were kind of like they were show accurate 3 3/4. Now they've got those 6-inch like I forget what the line is now, but there's the 6-inch line. I hadn't picked up any of those, but the classified series. And then they had the Star Wars stuff, which was like, man, I had the original Star Wars figures. The only reason you knew that character was because of the card back. Because when you looked at that figure, it didn't look. The only ones that looked like it, the only ones that looked like it was C-3PO, R2-D2, Darth Vader, and then Yoda. Everybody else was just. This doesn't look a thing like Harrison Ford. This isn't even. This you couldn't even this is not even the only reason. Good grief. Does he have his name stenciled on his shirt? Because like I don't know who this is, but it's not Harrison Ford.
That's why we kept them sealed in packages so that we knew who they were.
I knew who they were. I played with them long enough, man. I had the Empire Strikes Back one because like I like the smell on those Kenner Star Wars figures too. The plastic smell, that plasticky smell, that and like Lando Calrissian, like his cape had that plasticky smell too.
Well, the original ones. It was the vinyl capes, wasn't it? They all came with the vinyl capes,
and it had that
smell.
Then
when the Power of the Force
in the 90s
range in the 90s, they came with
like
the actual like plastic. The
they were hard plastic. Yeah, the cast plastic, because I had one of the fabric. I think my first Darth Vader had a fabric one on it too. And actually, my Darth Vader back here has a fabric one. Go ahead.
And in the 2000, like around, I believe it was 2008 when I had a bunch of the picked up. I still got those some of the G.I. Joe figures like Cobra Commander and stuff like that. And then the Star Wars figures actually looked like that looks like Harrison Ford. That in the package, the figure looked like that old. They put that old Kenner car back art on it, and then the figure looked like that. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And people were still buying that stuff back then. And now it's like nobody's buying it. And
I keep telling the story about like going to the the yard sale sort of car boot things that we have here. Like it's a big field where you just like turn up with your car and you put all your crap out on like a swap meet. And like there's like toy tables with just stacks and stacks of Rose Tico still in the fucking package. You can't even sell them at a car boot.
Yeah, man.
Well, and what's funny about Diesel was talking about the whole going to Ollie's the other day. Okay, Ollie's I've seen, right? There's literally like 2 rows of Marvel and Star Wars toys that have not sold that are Ollie's, right? Well, I went to my daughter's birthday. I had my oldest and my toddler. I can't say youngest anymore. My oldest and my toddler's birthdays are both in the same week. So I had 2 birthdays last week. So we went to Walmart to get some stuff for the toddler. And we were going down the toy aisles. The Star Wars toys, okay. I remember as a kid how big the fucking Star Wars section was at Walmart. Okay. Stocked. There was always new stuff coming around Christmas, all kinds of shit, right? Because I got some of them toys. That section, like it used to be like probably half the aisle, at least a quarter of the toy aisle, right? A quarter of that aisle was nothing but Star Wars shit. When I went in there, I mean, it was literally maybe a 4 foot, maybe 5 foot wide section, up and down the 2 rows. Everything from the Acolyte, everything from all the new Star Wars stuff was crammed as far forward as all the way to the back. Just
all the way to
falling off the hook.
Off the hook. Yeah.
The only thing that was even close to looking like it had been sold were the original versions of Luke Skywalker and the Stormtroopers. Those were the only things still left hanging, and there was only like 3 or 4 of them on the rack. Everything else was crammed full because it was all the new stuff. Even the lightsabers. They couldn't even sell the fucking lightsabers. They're on the entire 2 bottom shelves were just stacked from front to back with these fucking lightsabers, dude. I got pictures of it. It's fucking nuts.
You should have seen Toys R Us in the 80s.
Oh, I remember.
Holy shit. The Star Wars section all the way up, even past it. Speaking of which, hold on. I'll be right back. I got something cool.
But I mean, in Toys R Us especially, it wasn't just a wall section; it was an entire section of the store, like the
that's where you had all the Legos,
Star Wars area.
all the big toys, all the spaceships. You had all of that kind of stuff there because that's where you had to go to get some of that stuff at Toys R Us because that shit was so fucking expensive. Walmart wouldn't carry it.
Yeah.
But like, so but these are the people that have done all of this, right? They're the ones that accuse us, the racists and all the rest of the stuff. These weren't our decisions. We didn't create these stories. We didn't produce these movies. We didn't cancel the fucking Acolyte. You know what canceled the Acolyte? Nobody fucking showing up to watch the damn thing.
Yep.
Okay. And that's not our fault. We didn't write the story. We just called it like we saw it. And guess what? You're pissed off, Molly. Dear sweet Molly, let me share this because we're gonna keep going on this one because I got a whole bunch of fucking thing over here on her to go over all of this bullshit. Because dear sweet Molly is fucking jealous because if you check out their social blade right over here, this is Star Wars Explained. Molly is one half of Star Wars Explained. Okay, mind you, back in the day when I was still listening to Star Wars Explained, all I ever saw was I never even saw a dude. It was no camera and fucking screenshots of stuff, just like you'd see in a Warhammer 40K lore video. That's all I ever said. That's all I ever knew. I never even knew that this chick was part of it. I never even knew the guy had a face. Okay, up until like literally like the last couple of months, because I don't ever watch their shit anymore, right? Because I'm not fucking interested in Star Wars lore anymore because they fucked everything so bad up, you know, and outside of the people we know. But so Molly does all of this. She gets involved in all of the retweeting. Right. So this all happened on September 4th. If you go over to their social blade, it keeps track of all of this kind of stuff. September 4th was a Wednesday. If you look at Thursday, between Wednesday, Millennium Falcon, between Wednesday and Thursday, they lost 1,000 subscribers in one fucking day.
Wow.
Right. And this is the funny part. Their views, I mean, 112,000 views, 23,000 views, 158,000 views. I mean, the views aren't bad, you know, but for a channel that's got almost 800,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get to their channel here in a second and how well that's going. But literally just in the last 30 days, which they didn't lose anything at the beginning of the month, just in the last 30 days, they have already lost 7,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And that's while getting 2.3 million views. They are at a negative loss after this this organized hate campaign, this organized harassment campaign. They've actually lost money over all of this shit.
Is that the woman that has her husband on a dog leash?
What?
Yes. In the you didn't see that picture?
Yeah. Oh, the picture. Right.
I have to find it. Oh, yeah. Him in the slave Leia costume.
Right.
Yeah. And the penis to penis picture. Yeah, I was gonna say I will totally pull up that picture and show and torture everybody with that fucking picture. I will absolutely do it. Oh, I will. But this is what's funny about this is where their stuff's at now. If you go over to their YouTube channel as well, over here, right? Mind you, these people have 811,000 subscribers. Okay, and given they've been doing this for a long time, right? Star Wars. They've been around since some of the, 2015, 2014, something like that, since like essentially like the Disney Star Wars kind of kicked off, right? And a lot of this is around the same time a lot of those YouTube channels started. And over 800,000 subscribers. Their last video that just came out one day ago, Star Wars Outlaws, full spoiler story review, 23,000 views, 51,000 views, 12,000 views, 27,000 views, 21,000 views, 81,000 views, 51,000 views, 62,000 views. They're not even getting 10% of their subscribers to watch their videos. There's only one that's come close to that. That was the one, Revenge of the Sith, the most frequently asked questions answered, right? That's a general lore video. That's going over old stuff. That's not anything new. All of the rest of their videos about new stuff is all in the toilet.
Let's talk about the Acolyte. It's not.
The thing is, right, I kind of feel like that with the newer Star Wars shows, a lot of it is apathy because, like, the fans that were fans, like what I like to refer to as real Star Wars fans, they have just seen all of this, or the current day Star Wars, and they've been kind of like they've been burnt show by show with it. You know what I mean? It's like that they watched the first sort of shows that were coming out, and then it got worse, and then it got worse, and so the viewer base has just completely dropped off. And so now you've got this show, The Acolyte, comes out, and no one gives a shit about it. Like, no, that's why there's no viewers. But it's because literally no one cares enough to even go and watch it. Do you know what I mean? It's just complete apathy.
They still watch the hate videos. If we're roasting The Acolyte, those videos always get views. Like my only, for a couple of weeks, my only videos to cross 1,000 were nothing but Acolyte videos. Roasting The Acolyte.
I mean, actually, the numbers for, watching the actual show, the ratings for the show. That's complete apathy. The drop off in views for the actual show. I just feel like all these Star Wars fans have been completely burnt, like movie after movie, show after show, and it's just
I got nothing for it, man. I feel nothing. It's like,
I mean, I keep waiting.
Star Wars is dead to me now.
And someone to say, no, this isn't as bad as we thought it was, or this is worth a shot. I'd give them a shot if someone I trusted came out and said that. But no one I trust is going to say that because the stuff is all shit.
No, absolutely. What's up, Dex? Well, and this is one of the other funny parts about this too, right? So, and they'll try to say like review bombing or some bullshit like this. But the last few videos that they put out, 1.3 thousand upvotes to 2.9 thousand downvotes, 2.7 thousand downvotes. That's showing that they're shills. 1.5 thousand downvotes to 546. Dragon Con, 51,000 views, 1.4 thousand upvotes to 6.4 thousand downvotes, right? And they can say, well, it's people pissed off at us that are just coming over here and downvoting that. But that doesn't explain the subscriber loss. This is Star Wars explaining fans.
The 7,000 subscriber drop off.
Yeah.
Over a week.
Well, the last, Yep, since the beginning of the month. So yeah, in less than a week, they've lost 7,000 subscribers. And I'll be curious to see how much farther this goes. But yeah, and they can, like I said, the subscriber thing, they can't try to blame on us and go, well, it's your angry fans that are coming over here and downvoting our videos.
Yeah, it's your subscribers.
Yeah.
It's like it literally coincides with what you've done, with the content that you've put out, or the sort of hate campaign that you've tried to run. It directly coincides with that. And they were your subscribers. It's not like all these people who are hate watching you. Because I mean, like I might hate watch certain creators, but I'm not subscribed to them. And if it's someone who I am subscribed to, and then they bring out a video that I'm not necessarily in agreement with, I don't automatically unsubscribe to them. Just because they did one video that I'm not happy with, you know what I mean? It was like, maybe it takes a few videos before I start to go, do you know what? I think I'm going to unsubscribe to this dude. He's not for me anymore. But that's directly correlated with a hate campaign that happened over the last week or two.
Well, and I agree with you on that too, because like I disagree. Like there was a video that Tabletop Time put out, and I like Tabletop for the most part. They mostly do like painting videos and making dioramas for whether it be Warhammer 40K or some other stuff that they're doing like Lord of the Rings and things like that. And they made this whole video. They made like this 20-minute video over tourists, right? And this whole like the phrase tourist and the hobby and stuff like this, and basically we're like calling people out because of like the female custody thing, and just essentially trying to say that all the hate and the outrage was from a bunch of tourists. You know what I mean? Or the tourist label was getting thrown around a lot, and they thought the tourist label was offensive, and then people were trying to use it as a derogatory term, and that they claimed that in their entire time of being a fan of Warhammer 40K, they had never really heard the term tourist before. And I'm like,
I don't even play Warhammer, and I've heard people called tourists for dealing with it. As well as dealing with almost everything else that we love that people don't actually know a lot about because they haven't been there for all that long.
Right. Like literally every fandom out there has had this happen. Go ahead, Jack.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say that for me, the phrase tourist in the sense of people just not being really in with the hobby I've noticed that that's only really come about in the last couple of years. And the reason being is because before that, there weren't tourists in that sense, or there weren't as many of them because people were actually actively involved in the hobby, and there weren't people trying to take over it and, you know, like ruin the fucking thing, basically. And so the reason why the word tourist came about more prominently is because more prominently there were more fucking tourists coming about. So it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Irony with the acolyte. What was that? Irony with the acolyte is.
Oh, I was just highlighting it so everybody knew I didn't forget about
bordering
him.
on homophobic. It was sold
I
to
love
us
that
as
comment.
gay. Oh,
it was sold to us as a gay, and what we got was Manny with his shirt off and Shippers going squee. Because I made a video on it. I mean, I got no views, but I didn't make it.
Switches, there just wasn't that much actual gay.
I don't know, dude. That one fucking Jedi that was steaming his clothes, dude, that guy was queer as a $3 bill. Let's be fucking honest, okay? Like, he was steaming his Jedi robes, okay? If that doesn't scream, they were like, well, it's just how serious he takes his role. I'm like, that is gay. Everything about that is gay. Like, he's supposed to be a warrior monk, not somebody worried about how his fucking robes look like.
Wrinkles.
No, give me a fucking break.
Have you ever seen a Buddhist monk with wrinkles? Buddhist monks take care of their robes.
Right. But it was an excuse for them to have him with his shirt off and have him steaming in his fucking clothes is all that was. And no, I'm sorry. If you're steaming your clothes in the middle of a mission, that's pretty fucking gay, dude. I mean, you're concerned more about
he was more masculine than that one fucking Jedi dude who went with Amanda, not Amanda. Okay, what's her name? Leslie Headland's wife's character.
Is that with the Asian guy?
No. So Leslie Headland, you know, the green character with the bald hair. Yeah.
Leslie Headland's
wife. When she goes to try and find Sol and all them, she takes a band of Jedis with her, and there's this one dude, and he's just so effeminate. Do you know what I mean? He's just so really effeminate. The guy who took his shirt off was more manly than that guy.
Oh, that is fucking hilarious. Yeah, and it's just like, and that's this thing. That's why it failed so bad. It wasn't that it was gay. It wasn't that it was a diverse cast. It's that it literally made no fucking sense. They had no idea what they were doing with that story. It had no fucking direction. The dialogue didn't make any damn sense. And it's like you're trying to make it gay, and you just ended up with a bunch. It just turned into nothing more than Tumblr fan fiction for thirst traps. Is all it fucking was.
And it wasn't just gay in the homosexual sense, it was gay in the this sucks sense. They were looking for a virgins in the Force with a fucking metal detector, for Christ's sake.
Right, what the fuck? Oh my God. So yeah, needless to say, this is absolutely blown up in their fucking faces. And I think it's funny. I mean, this is what shills deserve, right? This is the kind of bullshit that they deserve to get, right? They suck Dave Filoni's dick. They eat Leslie Headland's crotch. You know, they fucking go, you know, they fondle the balls of whoever they have to. They swallow the load. I mean, that's that dumb that goofy looking ass motherfucker in the back right there. That's the motherfucker that's from New Rock Stars, is the face of fucking New Rock Stars, that also made a video out there criticizing everybody that fucking roasted the acolyte and tried to paint Leslie Headland as this person who called out Harvey Weinstein when the fucking play he referenced just made her look like the victim of the whole damn thing, even though she was one of the villains in the whole situation. Because if you're a personal assistant to anybody, I'm sorry, you know everything about their fucking life. You know more about them than they do. That's why they have personal assistants, because you know more about their life than they do. Like, give me a fucking break, man. You probably had to go down on her first. Griffin, what did Griffin say? No, he's talking about the male.
Yeah, go on.
Whoa, the male Jedi boy who went with the green skin Jedi leader. He's in the scene where she uses the lightsaber whip. Ah, okay. Okay, I don't think I got that far.
Lightsaber whip. I remember you remember when they had that like little teaser trailer for the Rise of Skywalker, and they had that stupid red thing that unfolded and with Rey. I remember Drinker did a video on that, and he started talking about what if you cut your arm off and all this stuff with that thing. This doesn't look very safe. He was talking about that because it was two blades, and they like like unclicked and folded, and it folded down. It was so stupid. That whip is dumber than that, though. That whip is like, I'm just like,
and it does.
This thing,
Yeah, light doesn't bend like that.
It defies the laws of physics, and I don't understand what even is this.
Well, and that's the thing. They've completely violated the whole the term for their entire genre. It's science fiction. It's still supposed to be based in science to at least some degree, or you're able to come up with a good fucking explanation that somebody out there might go, that's kind of reasonable. You can't do that with a lightsaber whip. That doesn't fucking happen. There is no explanation for that.
Lots of times.
It's a light saber, yeah. It's not a plasma sword. It's not a plasma whip. It's a light saber, okay? Light doesn't fucking whip like that.
Lots
light's
of times,
not gonna do in the air like it's blowing in the fucking wind. That is not going to fucking happen. Air currents and all of that kind of shit have next to no effect on anything at the level of light. Like it just.
Science fiction a lot of times leads to science fact. Look at this thing right here, man. This is essentially a Star Trek communicator. I could say you could probably even use this thing as a dang tricorder for a lot of. It can probably do a lot of functions as a tricorder.
They can now, especially when you've got like the smart watches and stuff that read your heart rate,
and all that kind of stuff.
Shit.
I was once out with my brother, and we were doing some metal detecting. And I'd got my mobile phone in my hand, and I'd already pre-marked some spots where I wanted to go. And I'd got my mobile phone in my hand, and it was like the spots were, the closer I got to the spot, it was like beeping quicker and quicker and quicker. Do you get what I mean? And I've also got the metal detector in my hand as well, and I'm like scanning around the place, and he's looking at me and he says, "You remember when you were a kid and you were watching Star Trek? Did you ever think that one day you'd be walking around with a literal tricorder in your hand, scanning things in the ground like that?" Mm-hmm. And I thought about it. I was like, "You're fucking right.
Yeah, exactly.
I've literally got a tricorder in my hand right now, and I'm like scanning around like I'm on. You know what I mean?"
Well, and think about 3D printers too. We literally have replicators now. 3D printers are one step, like a few steps away from being full-blown replicators.
In the Star Trek lore, it starts out as non-protein based things in the replicators too. It's only in like Star Trek the original series time that they have protein cubes and like food cubes and stuff that can come out of a replicator. Next Generation is when you can get real food.
Yeah,
so,
well, I still ain't eating that 3D printed meat. You can get that stuff out of here, man. I ain't eating that else.
I don't know. As long as the food cubes had everything you needed and nothing you didn't, and they didn't taste horrible.
Dude, I'm talking about that 3D printed meat. I don't trust anything coming out of here now, man. I'm like, I'm not eating that. That looks like. You remember in Play-Doh when you had the little? I don't. No,
yeah,
sir.
it was the pink slime stuff that they're kind of making it look like now, and it's technically edible and it's got nutrients and all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, we're still a ways off from like being like the kind of replicator you saw in Next Generation. But I mean, this is how it starts. This is how it started.
When that holodeck becomes online, it's just like an entire generation of dudes will be lost.
Oh, there's all of Japan will have
been in the holodeck since he was 17.
Even more like 13. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, okay, all right, let's go. He's been in there since he turned 14. We haven't seen him in decades.
But and that's one of those other things too. It's like you'd think, and like I was gonna make a joke about how you're gonna see all of Japan go down, and it's like, well, that explains like the lack of Asians you saw on Star Trek.
Dude,
because they're all on the holodeck.
They're all stuck on the holodeck with their robo girlfriends.
My brother would always say,
some things never change.
Whatever happens when you drop a couple of nukes on our nation, it turns them into a nation of perverted businessmen. That's what nuclear fallout does.
That's what nuclear fallout actually did. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, speaking of which, man, that Terminator Zero series is fantastic. Iron Oxide and I were supposed to go over it this past Sunday, but that's a 2 thumbs way up for me. That's like one of the best things in Terminator they've done in like forever.
So Terminator Zero, yeah,
the anime.
You're telling me it's a good series.
Very good.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've heard. That's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing nothing but good things.
Yep.
You know, and it's funny too, because like that's the other thing. It's like because you know, like I was hoping this was going to be good, and everything kind of seemed like it was going to be good, and like that's what I've heard from everybody. It's pretty good, and it was so funny because it made me think of the X-Men stuff with Bo DeMayo, because like y'all loved that first season, and that second season is going to be hot garbage. Did you guys hear what he put out on his OnlyFans? Because it's like his Patreon. Did you hear what he put out?
Oh, what he's put out?
Okay, so he flat out said that essentially, I'll sum it up because it's like a 20-minute video, but I'll sum it up. Essentially, he said that the only reason he was fired was because he was considered too much of a fanboy inside of Disney Animation, and that he got allegations thrown against him because it was the easiest way to take him out because he was gay. And that like there was even comments made from some of the producers where they showed a picture off his Instagram of him without his shirt on, right? Because he did some of that stuff, and some of those pictures are a little spicy, not as spicy as some of the stuff we've seen in X-Men comics, but he showed it to this kid, this underage kid, and said, "Do you think we should buy him shirts for Christmas?" Right, like making fun of him. And then they were at like a barbecue or something, and one of the other producers, like significant other, said, "I bet you get a lot of dick because of the way you look."
Jesse, you remember what I said from the beginning? I said they got rid of him because he stuck too much to the lore and was actually making it right. That is exactly what I said from the beginning, and I knew that's why they got rid of him. That was the only reason they got rid of him, because he did it right and he wouldn't put the message in there.
That's Henry Cavill and The Witcher.
Yeah, that's why they got rid of him.
That's why the second season is getting drastic rewrites, because he flat out said, "I said no because they wanted to go in a totally new direction. They wanted to ignore all the storylines that were left unanswered in the last season and everything else." And he refused. He wanted to stick to the lore. And that honestly makes me think more and more that the whole morph thing was his one capitulation to them.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And they put it out and they had to market it like it was a big deal when it really wasn't. That's what took me forever to watch it, because Iron Oxide and everybody kept saying, "Well, it's good, watch it." And they kept on telling me, and it took them, like they were just wearing me down after a month or so. And I was like, "All right, I'll watch it, man." And then they were right. It was fantastic, man. And I knew that's why they got rid of him. That's exactly why they got rid of him.
Like, this director, we got this director. He's a gay. So we got a diverse director, and he's the wrong type of gay. No,
that's exactly what it is.
Exactly what it is, man.
Because guess what? He's a gay fan who, where he sticks his genitalia doesn't matter as much as the fandom that he is a part of and the lore and what he loves about these stories. And that's what drove them insane. His genitalia and where he put it did not matter as much as good storytelling and the fucking fans.
Right.
And that drove Disney animators insane.
Because he didn't toe the line.
I'm excited for season 2 to bomb, because there's actual people going out and actually starting to put the people in charge of these companies under the microscope, because all of them, none nearly as badly as Disney, but all of them have been completely and utterly putting their political bullshit in front of their fiduciary responsibility for their shareholders. And this, I guess it's who does, I don't remember the federal government that does, which organization does, but whatever. They're actually starting to call these people in and say, "You've destroyed the stock of your stockholders. Give us the reason why you did these things that seem obviously stupid after the second, third, fourth time you tried to do it." And I really hope all these fuckers go to jail. I will be dancing naked in the moonlight when they're all fucking in prison.
Yeah, but you do that anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a new goal. We need to make sure all of these people go to prison, so all of you get to see exactly what I know you little perverts out there want to see. Tiny put it out there, so we're going to hold her to that. When we start getting these people, when we start getting the woke acolytes for the cult put in handcuffs, Tiny said it here first. She will dance naked in the moonlight, boys and girls. So just friendly FYI.
You didn't say she was going to film it, though.
Bubba, we'll call somebody at the NSA. One of those fucking satellites will be in the right place.
Yeah,
right
spy satellite.
Google streetcar. Like, we'll get something on this. We got drones. It'll be all right. Don't worry. But no, it's just, and that's one of the things is like, that's the other thing too. Like I just did a video today over a story with Ubisoft, or maybe it was yesterday. But Ubisoft is getting it just had a letter sent to them because they're a French-based company, right? Mm-hmm. And because of what happened with Star Wars Outlaws and the massive amount of stock drop that they've had because of it and everything else, they now have a group of investors, which they're a minority shareholder, but in France, your minority shareholders have legal standing to sue for damages if you decimate their no matter what their percentage is in your company. If you damage their stock price, they can sue you for it. So they put out this big long letter with all of these demands, essentially saying, look, we want you to take the company private, so that way you don't have to worry about kowtowing to these investors, i.e. BlackRock, State Street, all the people that have been pushing the woke agenda over the years, and actually clean house. Now, they didn't say anything about the woke. They didn't say anything about that. They just said fiduciary duties. They were all the same kind of shit with Disney when all the stuff went down earlier in the year with that too. Same kind of speak that you saw from that. And they flat out said that they also said that we know there are private equity and investment firms that want to come in and buy your company, buy you out, and fix it and straighten it out. And that if you try to refuse or reject one of these buyouts, we will sue you in court. And we have legal standing because of French law. And that means they know a buyout offer is coming for Ubisoft. And they flat out said they will get themselves and a bunch of these smaller investment firms together to sue them for this together if they don't take this. So I'm going to be really curious to see how that one pans out, because they were betting on Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed to put them in a positive cash flow, because they have been in a negative cash flow for like the last 3 or 4 years. They have been in the red. And they were hoping Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows would turn that around. Well, Star Wars Outlaws sure as fuck ain't going to do that. And I doubt Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to do any better.
That's going to fucking bomb. What was that article that I saw earlier? That Ubisoft needs a miracle and the Shadows ain't no miracle.
Oh, man. I wish I would have
seen
that article.
Just to segue a little bit, I love the fact that Jesse's so used to having the baby in his arms that he's been sitting there for the last half an hour with Darth Vader there.
Well, actually,
just cuddling Darth Vader.
What it is since we were talking about good Star Wars, since we were talking about all the bad things that they've done to Star Wars, I was like, I want to show something good that we've got from Star Wars. And also then I saw your picture over your shoulder of James Earl Jones, and I was like, well, I have to keep holding on to my Darth Vader now, because I'll tell you right now, we can say all kinds of fucking horrible things about Mark Hamill, and he deserves every single one of them. But putting out that tweet that just said, rest in peace, Dad, I was like,
And he didn't say anything when David Prowse died.
Right. But I mean, I think that's like, honestly, most of the fans don't remember him either, unless you were hardcore around there back then and stuff like that. Most people remember James Earl Jones and his voice for Darth Vader. Yeah. They don't remember the actor that was inside of the suit.
And Disney didn't put anything out either, did they?
It took Star Wars about 3 or 4 hours to finally put something out, and my understanding was the only reason they ended up putting something out is because they were getting roasted over the coals by all the fans out there. And then all of a sudden they make it look like, well, it's from George Lucas and Lucasfilm, like, oh, well, it took us a minute to get it together, kind of bullshit. But yeah, if you want to see Common Nerd cut onions over that video, go subscribe to the new Common Nerd 2 channel. Because I put that one releases, I think, either tomorrow or today. I can't remember when that one releases.
Dude,
but yeah,
I hate Ubisoft
if you missed it live.
For the simple fact that the first Far Cry game is a masterpiece. So is Crysis. The first Far Cry game, and then that game Crysis, the first Crysis game. They're made by Crytek. That's the Crytek engine. It's the same people that kind of worked on it. Far Cry 2 is completely different, and Ubisoft got more in there. And then around, I thought Far Cry 3, I wanted to pick it up and try to play it, see if it was anything like the original Far Cry. It was on a tropical island in the Pacific, and I'm just like, cool. Original Far Cry game was 2004, man. It was, the graphics were intense. It was awesome. But I got Far Cry 3. Tried to install it and put this Ubisoft launcher on my desktop. Every single time I tried to use it, it would go to connect and would instantly say disconnect. It couldn't connect. It wouldn't even try to do it. It would instantly do that. I could never get the thing to work. Started talking to people on chat, did that like several times. Then I was just like, screw it. Bought a physical copy, installed it. And that physical copy installed that piece of garbage Ubisoft like launcher on there. So Ubisoft, you can eat it, man. I don't care if you like fold for your stupid launching game, because I bought this game twice and still couldn't play it.
Well, and Mudcrab asks, this is why would you want to buy Ubisoft? What IP do they own that's worth getting ownership for? And Diesel just put one out there. And that's another thing. If you watch my video and you go and I go through the letter, they list off all of these different properties that they own the rights to. I think Splinter Cell was one of them that was on there, but the Far Cry was one that they called out. Assassin's Creed. There was a few others that they called out that I remember had been successful in the past. I didn't even realize they were necessarily under Ubisoft, like Far Cry and stuff like that. I didn't realize they were under those guys, but they called out a lot of those.
Prince of Persia is one of them.
There you go, Prince of Persia. And that's the other thing too, is if somebody bought that company and turned it around and made the next Assassin's Creed game fucking awesome, that thing would sell like gangbusters. Okay. Because I remember going to cons when the Assassin's Creed games were at like they're the most popular. And we're not talking that long ago. You know, we're talking 2012, 2014. Yeah. Not even 10 years at the most. Right. You could go to a con and not only did you see a bunch of people dressed up as assassins, there were literal entire classes, you know, you'd go into the conference room and you'd spend 45 minutes learning about something. It was literally parkour like an assassin. And everybody that was teaching the class was dressed up like assassins. They were selling all the little blades and all of that kind of stuff. Like that stuff was huge. And that's the thing. If an Assassin's Creed, I don't think is to the point where their fan base is completely and totally turned off. If you did turn around, if the next Assassin's Creed game you put out, like somebody comes in and buys Ubisoft, the next Assassin's Creed you put out is a fucking banger and not just microtransaction bullshit with the same kind of nonsense garbage dynamics over and over again, it would sell like fucking hotcakes. It really would. If the reviews came out and said it was good and there was no controversy and the fans were excited about it, it would sell like fucking hotcakes. So they have IPs that are worth something. They've just driven them so far into the ground.
Y'all know I don't game. It's my big thing. The one thing about geek thing I don't do is game. The one game that I've thought of over and over the years to maybe try was Assassin's Creed. It was one of the few games that really, really piqued my interest that maybe if I ever got into gaming, that was something I would try. And yeah, what they've put out, I would not know. I would never give my money for that.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like there was a time point where I was a little bit of an Assassin's Creed fanboy. Like I almost every game they spit out, I bought. You know what I mean? I loved Black Flag, the one all the way up until which one was the last one? Was it Black Flag or the Revolutionary War one? Which one came out last?
Black Flag is the pirate one, right? I think that was after the Revolutionary War one.
Okay, so I think Black Flag was the last one I played because it was just an absolute blast. And I think like the next one that came out was like the one where you got like groups of assassins and you had like an entire group and you had like little teammates and stuff you could send out. And I remember playing that one for a little while, but it never piqued my interest. I stopped playing and stopped buying them after that one. And the last one I can legitimately remember I enjoyed was Black Flag. And that's only because of the pirate dynamics and the shipbuilding and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure I probably did finish I'm sure I probably did finish Black Flag just because I'm a completionist like that. Especially games that I can actually get through. And but that was literally the last one I played. And yeah, if you were like, look, we're gonna do a Black Flag 2, we're gonna do another, I'm gonna be like, let's see what you got. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is there's a lot of people out there that are like that.
For me, I played as the original Assassin's Creed. Then you got the one with the second one with Ezio, yeah, and then it got to the Revolutionary War one, and I wasn't about that. But then I was about the Black Flag game just because of the pirate dynamic, simply because of the pirate dynamic. But I had no sort of connection with the Revolutionary War one. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's only because they called it the Revolution and not the English Civil War. That's why.
I get that.
Yeah, color is shocked. Color is shocked. Let me grab this real quick. Little Peen Lux for another $1.99. Says I just made burgers and I'm about to bust. Thank you for that $1.99, Little Peen Lux. Appreciate that, brother. And then he actually puts in, he's like, I just ate 3 burgers and I have the meat sweats now. Good job, Little Peen. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the $1.99. But yeah, and like he says here, Assassin's Creed Black Flag was amazing. Nothing good has been released after. Yeah, Unity was terrible, and that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the thing is like that what it was. There was a and see, Yeah, see, Mudcrab, even Assassin's Creed would be worth owning. See, that's what I'm saying. There's enough stuff with that they've still got enough IPs where they're not damaged beyond repair. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that's a little bit different with video games than it is with movies and television shows and like some of these big franchise lores, right? Like we know Disney Star Wars has significantly damaged the brand, right? With video games, it's a little bit different, right? Because different video game studios get rights to the same IP and they'll make different games, right? Like obviously the people who made the Fallen Order are not the same people that fucking made Star Wars Outlaws, right? Two different companies. And everybody loved Fallen Order. Everybody fucking hates Outlaws. You know, except for the shills that are still out there and still giving it a 7 because that's the lowest score they'll fucking give.
I bet you Jacob's out there going, oh God, oh Outlaws, yeah, oh Acolyte, oh, you know who I'm talking about, don't you, Jacob?
No,
well, he's this fucking dork who's on Twitter and he goes around blocking people and he's got these stupid profile pictures and he's like sitting there with his fucking baby Yoda. He's like, oh, new Star Wars. Oh, I love it so much. He's such a little fucking wanker.
He's a complete and total Disney pixie duster then. Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. No, I absolutely get it. And almost to bring it full circle, I mean, that's what we see with these Disney shills, right? These are the same people that tried to put a campaign, a targeted harassment campaign against friends of ours in the Fellowship, trying to take them out because guess what? Disney Star Wars fucking sucks ass. And the majority of the world fucking agrees with us. And you can't handle the fact that the majority of the world is not the way you thought it was going to be. Nobody's buying your bullshit. And reality has just smacked you in the face. And it hurts. And it's driving them insane, which is why we're winning. And that's why they're angry. And I said this. I said it would get worse as we won, as we started to win, as we saw the culture shift back, because it would freak them out, because it's not just the same way the 2016 election broke all of these fuckers' brains, right? Because it didn't go the way they thought it was going to go. Everybody and their mother knew fucking Hillary was going to win. And then when Trump won, it broke all their fucking brains. We see the exact same thing happening now. Woke is dying. They are losing. And even the major corporations are having to abandon it, at least to some degree, i.e. canceling things like the Acolyte because they've ran out of other people's money. Reality is hitting these people in the faces and they are freaking out and they cannot fucking handle it. And it's hilarious.
Well, this is the thing as well, though. I mean, with product, essentially all it comes down to is you've got a product to sell. And if it's a crap product, people are not going to buy it. And if you sink a fuckload of money into producing that product and you don't make that money back, then your shareholders are going to say, what are you doing next to rake it back in? Then, you know, we've got to actually bring our stock back up to what it was because, you know, we want our money, basically. So what are you going to do next? And that's the question that the majority of shareholders have got for them right now. Is what are you doing to our stock? What are you going to do next? Or they're just selling their stock. You know what I mean? They're saying, I'll rather cut my losses right now. This is too much of a risk to take, to keep like waiting for them to do something good. And anyway, I mean, like, you know, look at all the millions and millions of people who even went to see the prequels, the Star Wars prequels. Yeah. Star Wars was an absolutely huge franchise, and look at how many people watch The Acolyte. Like, just look at the number. It's not even millions, is it? It's hundreds of thousands, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the last episode came in at like 900 or 880,000 or something like that, and like the premiere was only like 1.1 million or something like that. So yeah, it literally lost like 300,000 people between the first episode and the last episode. Like not as bad as not as bad as Rings of Power, but I mean that's that. But the thing about it is like you started with so much of a lower bar to begin with, right? Because like every single Disney Star Wars product that they have put them out on streaming since Mando season 2 has been worse than the last one. The numbers continue. They got a little bit of a burst with Ahsoka. Ahsoka's numbers weren't the worst of all Disney Star Wars products, but they were pretty. I think the only thing they got beat, but the only thing that beat them out was like Andor or something like that, right? That was the only thing that was lower. And like they said, that was the least.
And I
Star
stand
Wars
by
of all the
it.
Star
Andor's
Wars.
not as bad.
Right.
Andor
And
is not as bad, but it could be its own encapsulated little series of not Star Wars.
Right. Right. And other than that, like, and this is just reality coming to it. And like what I was saying about video game studios is like the difference with video game studios is if it's a different video game studio, you're more willing to give it a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Star Wars was licensed out to different studios, you would be more likely to give it a shot if it was a different studio, which is why gamers will come back if they think the next edition of their game is going to be good, even though the last edition was shit. Yeah, there'll always be a portion of the population you'll lose, but gamers are used to that, right? Gamers are used to getting 2 or 3 great games, and then occasionally we'll get a shitty one, and then maybe we'll get one more good one, and then we'll get, something that are just kind of okay, and then you'll get another great one. Like gamers are kind of used to that kind of thing. Whereas
it's like I was saying earlier about the apathy. So because all of the Star Wars shows are being like produced by the same fucking studio, it's all by Disney. People are going, nah, it's Disney, I'm not going to touch it. But as you're saying, if it was different studios, like with game studios, you've got that element of, well, maybe this studio won't be as bad. And at least then you'll get far more people coming into it and giving the show a go, giving the show a try. With The Acolyte, I seriously just think people are so burnt out on shit Star Wars that no one wanted to watch it, no one gave a shit. And that's why the ratings are so low, and that's why it's failed so hard. I mean, not only did you have so little people coming into it fresh, right? You lost that very small portion of people who tried the show. Yeah, you lost a whole fucking bunch of those people. You had a very small portion of people going, all right, fine, I'll give this Disney show a go. And then you still had a fucking drop off of viewers towards the end. It's like,
yeah, and that's the thing is
even the Pixie Dusters can't take it anymore. Even the Pixie Dusters can't watch this shit anymore. That shouldn't be telling you.
But they are. But they are though, and the thing is that there's not that many of them.
Well, and if you look at it too, this is how you always really tell is you look at the amount of people who are trying to review the show seriously and not take a piss out of it instantaneously, right? The only people you still see doing that are the Disney shills. Everyone else has either anybody that was like neutral, Star Wars Theory is the best example. You know what I mean? A guy that loves the prequels, loved Mando season 1 and 2, but then you did Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you did Book of Boba Fett, and it just kept going. And like he even said, Andor, the story and all that kind of stuff was kind of okay, but it didn't look like Star Wars. He got backlash for complaining about the way some of the walling and the texturing looked. He got accused of all kinds of horrible things. And that was when he started to break too, right? And it's just one of them situations where, but even before that, he was saying all of this was crap. And that's the thing is there's no one left but the Access Media, but the Pixie Dusters that are still doing this shit and trying to come out there and actually positively put stuff out there. All the normies have checked out. It's only, like you said, it surprises me that you can even come up with 900,000 people who are still willing to watch this show, right? Based on Samba TV, based on Nielsen ratings and stuff like that. It's like, it blows me away that you get that many people left.
Really? Where are these people?
Well, they certainly ain't buying the fucking merch. You know what I mean? That's pretty obvious.
Those people could be multiple views as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like you got some serious, like, as you say, pixie dusters out there that are watching the show multiple times over and over again, because that's what they were calling for, weren't they? Put it on in the background, turn the volume down just so that we can get the numbers up, get the views up, that sort of thing. It's like, and you still couldn't get 1 million.
No, and that's the thing, and it's funny because it's just that's where they're at, and they've damaged the brand beyond all belief. and they're never going to get that back. They're never going to get that back and like I said, that's why everybody's like, sell it, let somebody else have it, because then fans would be willing to give it a shot again, because it's a different studio and to be different people, just like video games, you know? So that's why I think Ubisoft's worth buying, because fans would give it a shot if they knew that there was new management in charge, it was a new game, and it looked good, you know?
I say a new animated show, but an anime version of Star Wars. Yeah. Give it to the studio that did this Terminator Zero.
Or even the guys that did the first Clone Wars, the actual Clone Wars, not the Disney fucking Clone Wars that they did, you know, because that one, I've only seen a few episodes of it because it's hard to find the whole fucking thing sometimes.
Oh, yeah, the Gendy Tartakovsky one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That original one.
Yeah. That actually had some good art style and just looked like some fucking bullshit 3D animation nonsense like the Clone Wars did. I never was a fan of that fucking animation style at all. And I heard it got better towards the end and stuff like that. But man, I legitimately tried like 3 or 4 times to get through that series, and I just couldn't fucking do it, man. I legitimately did try to give it a shot.
They did do a Star Wars anime called Visions, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one.
I never saw that.
I think that one was something that they didn't do a lot of management for it or any of that kind of stuff. Because
is that new though, animation? Is that like,
yeah, it's
like
new. It's
relatively new?
Yeah, it's Disney Star Wars. It's something that they did. I remember hearing about Visions, but like it got so little traction that like it wasn't even worth roasting. Like it was like a blink and it was gone kind of thing. But yeah. So I don't know.
And they've got all these kid shows coming out as well now, ain't they? These Star Wars kid shows, like, because it's like the last ditch attempt, isn't it, to get, Skeleton Crew and that sort of thing. It's like the last ditch effort. It's like, all right, well, we can't appeal to the adult Star Wars fan base anymore. Let's try this one last ditch effort to try and get some fucking merchandise out there. Try and get the kids buying it because, you know, like kids bug their parents to buy shit for them. Hopefully we'll be able to make something back. But I just genuinely think that it's a failure now. There's no hope for Star Wars anymore. The apathy is too great.
Star Wars, there's no hope.
Well, and the funny part is this is what's going to happen. They're going to try to right this ship. It's too little, too late, but they're going to try to right this ship. And what's going to happen is you're going to see Luke come back in Ahsoka season 2. And Ahsoka season 2, my understanding is it's supposed to come out before the Mando and Grogu movie, right? So Ahsoka season 2, just like what we saw happen in like Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka season 2 will essentially be Mando season 4.5 or 3.5 or 4.5 or wherever the fuck we're at right now. It's only the 3rd season, right, of Mando. They haven't done a 4th season, right? And so what's going to end up? I know I can't even keep track anymore. What it is that's what's going to, you're going to see Luke return in Ahsoka. You're going to see him a bigger part in Ahsoka, and then you're going to see him play a bigger part in the Mando and Grogu movie, because that's the only fucking hook that they've got left. The last time they tried that trick is the only thing that got anybody. That was the highest peak Disney Star Wars viewership that they had in the entire time that they had Disney Star Wars on Disney Plus. And that's the trick they're going to try again. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. I don't think it's going to work this time. I could be wrong. I was wrong about Inside Out too. You know what I mean? I was wrong about that. I thought family brand had been damaged, and they fucking sure as shit showed me that movie made a fucking $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Even I took my daughter to see that.
So that's what I'm going to be curious to see what happens. If you put Luke in Ahsoka and then in that Mando and Grogu movie, a younger Luke at his peak, is that going to bring in the normie Star Wars fans again? I don't know. Because the other problem with that is if you think about it, in order to know what's happening in this movie, you would have had to have watched Mando, Ahsoka, and whatever the else fucking shit is supposed to gonna tie into this damn movie, and whatever else they're gonna bring in. And that's something we've seen that trick tried before, and it fails in the past. You know, they tried that with Marvel and having to watch the shows in order to understand what was going on in the movies, and that failed miserably and everything else. And I can't imagine this going any better whatsoever. But we'll see what happens. I could be wrong.
So Ahsoka, right? It was just like women staring at each other. The best part about that show was the fucking the one with the head things. her ass. That was the best thing about that show, right?
Fuck yeah.
Now, the second best thing about that show was the Luke Skywalker appearances where you'd got, you know, R2-D2 and you'd got Luke Skywalker there. But there was so little of it, right, that it was just like, well, where are we going with this? And so that's not even a draw for me now. you know what I mean? If they actually, with the technology that they've got, if they did a young Luke Skywalker show based around the time of like Return of the Jedi or just after Return of the Jedi, I'd probably watch that if it wasn't full of, you know, current fucking day. And I'd probably give it a go. I'd probably watch that, you know what I mean? But there's so little of, you know, I guess it's all about time and money, and to be able to do all that deep fake stuff and to make an entire show out of it rather than just these little snippets that we've been getting. It might cost a little bit more money to do that, but I don't know, because Corridor Crew managed to pull off a really good, a better deep fake than what Disney could. So I don't know, but yeah, we got so little of the Luke Skywalker stuff, and I think realistically that's what they should have returned to. Forget about Ahsoka. Forget about fucking all these new characters, Mando, Grogu. If you'd have done a Boba Fett show just on its own, and it was like around the time of, you know, Return of the Jedi, that sort of thing, where Boba Fett was like badass, like before he got put in the Sarlacc pit, that sort of thing. All the shit that he does between like hanging around with Jabba the Hutt, that'd have been fucking awesome. Because you may have been able to add Luke Skywalker into that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he flies the fire spray spaceship, right?
Slave One.
Yeah.
Yes. He flies Slave
The
One.
fire spray, yeah.
Was it generally earning that much or accounting for inflation, rigging the numbers? You have to be a little more specific than that, Charlena. You have to be a little more specific. Exactly.
Is that what they renamed the ship to? The fire spray?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they claimed it was a fire spray class or something like that. They removed Slave One.
They can't call it.
So fucking stupid. So fucking stupid. But yeah, like I said,
I would like to know how it's racist, since every single culture on the planet has had slaves. That there are multiple.
Turn your brain off.
Slaves.
They're pandering. These are the pander.
No. You have to understand, Tiny. The only country in the world that ever had slaves was America, and that's why America is evil and everyone else is good. So any reference to the evil that America is the only one that did in the history of the world, i.e. slavery, has to be needlessly only racist against black people, because white Americans were the only people in the world to ever own slaves, and those slaves were exclusively black Africans stolen from their tribes.
Yeah, because world history only goes back as far as America was born.
Right.
Anything before that is just
How about the
nonsense.
multiple countries in Africa that are still selling slaves today? Do we get to talk about that?
You mean like the country that they removed Gaddafi from that now has open air slave markets?
Gaddafi was an insane tyrant. He was evil. He absolutely. But to just fucking pop him off and not do anything to make sure the country stays stable was about as irresponsible as you can fucking get. And fucking Hillary Clinton laughing over it was just disgusting. And now, yes, for years and years and years, they have open slave markets in Libya.
Yep. The whole country is ran by the terrorists now.
Oh no, I'm going there next week.
Have fun. You gotta pick. You picking yourself up some. Picking up some workers. Picking yourself up some workers for your house.
Workers for my bedroom.
Exactly.
I'm joking, British government. I'm not really trafficking people.
Did you just do a meme? That's an unarrestable offense.
You got a license for that meme?
You got a license for that meme?
I think the most fun I've had laughing my ass off was when the head of the Metropolitan Police in London made the announcement that he was going to get Americans arrested for speaking online.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
That's not what it said.
Oh, what did it say?
I did a whole thing about it. That just got blown out of proportion by a load of talking heads on the internet.
So hard.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where it came from, right? I could see why people might think that that's what he said, but it was the way that the reporter phrased her questions and what he was actually answering to, because she asks him a whole bunch of questions, but he only answers a couple of things of what she asked. So she references the fact that in this press conference that they were having, that was behind closed doors, that was away from the cameras, this conference that they were having, he spoke about arresting people who were saying things online who were further afield. Like, so, for example, someone who is like a permanent resident of the UK who is abroad on holiday, like in Greece or something, and they think that they're getting away with it because they're keyboard warriors behind the screen and they're in Greece or whatever, and it doesn't matter. It's only people through this new online safety fucking act that came out last year. Even if you're in a different country, if you're a habitual resident of the United Kingdom, they can still arrest you and they can still get you done by that. But it was because the way that she phrased it, the reporter phrased it, she says, oh, can we just talk about that as well, what you were saying about like getting people further afield, you know, for being a keyboard warrior and saying nasty things online. I mean, people like Elon Musk spring to mind. And then he starts talking about what was said in there, but under no circumstances did he say that he was going to arrest Elon Musk. And he didn't say that he was going to be indicting or extraditing Americans to come over here and be arrested. Not a single anywhere did anyone ever say that. He certainly didn't say that, but I can see how people might have got it mixed up, because not only does it kind of seem like that, but then a load of talking heads just came along and started going, oh, did you hear what he said? He said that he's going to extradite Americans, and he never said that at all. So yeah, unfortunately, I thought it would have been funny too. I mean, like when all these people were coming out and saying, oh yeah, try and extradite us, try and, come after us to remember what happened, 1776, all that kind of stuff.
But yeah. I just thought it was hilarious, and I was enjoying the laughter, but all right. So he wasn't quite as stupid as that. Well, fuck.
No, but I mean, I think the whole thing is still fucking stupid. Like the simple fact that we've got such an ambiguous law as the Online Safety Act, and it's like, like anything can be construed as harmful. Yep. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck off. I'm allowed to have my freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Like we had another law before it, and it was like the Electronic Communications Act. And the reason why the Electronic Communications Act was brought into sort of force was because you were having people harassing people over the phone, like heavy breathers and that sort of thing, being like really disturbing over the phone.
Here in the States sometimes. I remember someone did that to me at my dad's house once. That was awful.
So you got all these, you got all these instances of people, like doing heavy breathing phone calls, harassing people over the phone. So they brought in the communications, the Electronic Communications Act. And then as the internet got sort of more prominent, they sort of incorporated the internet into that as well. So now emails can be classed as, like an electronic communication and not just the phone or the mobile phone or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But now they've gone even further, and now you've got the Online Safety Act, which sort of repeals some of the things that are in the Electronic Communications Act And now it puts it under this whole new umbrella where it's completely ambiguous, and you've got to be really, really fucking careful about what you say and what you do, because it could be racial hatred, you could be inciting, and it's just fucking stupid. It's just absolutely stupid authoritarianism. So fuck you, British government, because you're all cunts.
That's true. I absolutely, completely, and totally agree with you on that one. Yeah, yeah, and like,
what's that smell it's making?
Yeah, what's that smell? Yeah, it's King. Yeah, it's Jack. You can smell him all the way.
Shit myself
twice. That's what he does during the stream. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Oh my god, you nasty motherfucker! You nasty. Fucking.
Just basking in the ambience.
Basking in the ambience. Basking in the ambience. Yeah, there they are. There's our road trip gummies. There we go. In fact, Tiny actually witnessed a slave being sold. That would be Martunia. In fact, Martunia law upholds chattel slavery, i.e., people born as slaves. Wow. Yeah, Griffin's been all over the world. He was a missionary kid, and yeah, he's seen a lot of that crazy shit. He's seen a lot of that crazy shit. So yeah, fucked up world we live in. And it's so funny. People who think they're the good guy end up making things a whole hell of a lot fucking worse. I.e. the people trying to censor Jack from saying the appropriate things on Twitter. I'm curious about this. Have you modified any of your Twitter behavior since a lot of this stuff has passed?
Some of it. Only some of it. So I'm not as sweary. I had to delete a few posts where I was directly calling for action, in the sense of, we need to get out there and we need to be doing this and we need to be doing that, because apparently that can be insightful or construed as insightful, that sort of thing. But as long as as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm not saying, oh, fucking Muslims, and as long as I'm not saying things like, I'm going to come round your house, or, I don't know, something like, I'm not calling for violence, but I hope someone punches Keir Starmer's head in. As long as I'm not saying those things online, yeah, I'm okay. If I'm being more sarcastic, I'm having to be a little bit more sarcastic and a little bit more sort of clever in the way that I word things. But realistically, I'm still going to call out my leaders. I'm still going to call out my government. I'm not going to stop doing that. And one of the things that I've realized is that a lot of these people who've been getting arrested and charged and put in jail and that sort of thing, they're being duped into giving guilty pleas. The reason why it's so easy for them to be jailed almost immediately is because they're putting in guilty pleas. Someone is telling them, if you put in a guilty plea, if you found guilt, if you put in a not guilty plea, if you're found guilty, you might get a longer sentence than if you pled guilty. So it's better that you just plead guilty now and get it over with, and then that way you won't get a bigger sentence. But there is no way on this earth that you will get me pleading guilty to something that I'm not fucking guilty of. And the thing is as well, you in this case, then what would happen is, I plead not guilty. Let's just say I got arrested and they decided to charge me. There was enough evidence to charge me. I plead not guilty when I go to the magistrate's court. So then the magistrate sends me to jail and I get no bail or anything like that. And then I end up staying in jail for longer than what my sentence would have been had I pled guilty. You get what I mean? And they don't give me bail, that sort of thing. But I'd much rather be tried by, the 12 people and have the evidence. I'd rather have them have the burden of proof to try and prove that I was guilty. And then when they like in the chance that they can't do that and they can't bring a case against me, any time that I've spent in jail, then, well, they've got to compensate me for that. I'm happy to do that. I can do a stint in jail just because you tried to take away my freedoms. Then you've got to try and prove that I did something wrong. And if you can't fucking do that, then you've got to pay me compensation for the fucking time that I was in there, because you jailed me with no cause. You jailed me without reasonable cause. Yeah, it's like you can't just lock people up for saying things that you find offensive.
Well,
you've got to prove that my intent was to be offensive and harmful.
And good luck with that with text. You know what I mean? It's one thing with a video clip, a completely different thing with text, because text can be taken so out of context. And it's also one of them situations too. Imagine going in that courtroom and having to look at and look those 12 people in the eye and go, are you really going to put me in jail for this? Like, I would want all 12 of those people. I want you to convict me, because you 12 are going to be known as the biggest fucking ass clowns that have ever seen the light of day. If you convict somebody for a fucking tweet and send them to jail for a fucking, I don't think you could get 12 people together to do it, to agree to it. I don't know if they got to make a universal decision over there like they do in the United States, but.
Well, the thing is as well, the Crown Prosecution Service has to be able to bring a case against you. What they're hoping is that you're going to plead guilty because you don't want to spend the time in jail.
It's the same thing if you plead, in the United States.
Yeah, they're thinking, well, if we can get him to plead guilty, then it's like, no problem. There doesn't have to be a trial. If he pleads not guilty, we'll just keep him. We'll just tell him that he's going to have to stay in jail for a little while then. And it's like, so, all right, okay, you keep me in jail for a little while then whilst we're waiting for my next hearing to come about. That's what happened with that Labour councillor who says about, wanting to slit people's throats. So he was held on remand until his next trial date, even though there was supposed to be some sort of bail hearing or whatever. Right. He was held in remand until his next hearing. He wasn't allowed to be freed. And he's pled not guilty. That's because he's pled not guilty. And people have been saying online, like, well, why has he not been jailed immediately? Why has he not been found guilty, etc., etc.? And it's like, because he pled not guilty. Yeah. But even still, he's had to stay on remand in prison. And what they're hoping is that you know that, and that you just plead guilty so that you don't have to, fuck around, basically, or you don't have as long a sentence as what you would. Because if you do plead guilty, they reduce the sentence by a third. So do with that what you will. But you won't catch me pleading guilty to something that I'm not fucking guilty of.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems with just like, and this is a judicial system problem, whether it's the United States or whether it's over there in the United Kingdom. It's the same kind of situation where that's what they want to do. That's why they will sit you in a fucking room for 12 hours, not feed you, not give you anything to drink, and just sit there and ask you the same fucking questions over and over and over and over again, because they want to either trick you into saying something you're not intending to so they can catch you in a lie, i.e. what they did to Martha Stewart and what they've used as a political bullshit against a whole lot of people over the years. General Flynn was another example of that one too. He was convicted of lying to the FBI. And so they'll try to get you into that, or they'll try to wear you down until you say you're guilty, until you're willing to admit to whatever they're trying to get you to. That's why if you ever get picked up by the cops, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, I want a lawyer. Yep. I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer. Because as soon as that happens, as soon as you say that, their questioning has to stop until your lawyer is present. And
also,
that will stop
they'll lie to you about what the charges are. They'll lie to you about how heavy the charges are. They'll lie about things that they can add to. One of the J6ers committed suicide because they said that they were going to add these extra punishments. And he was so upset and so traumatized by the whole experience. He was there for like 5 minutes or something like that. And he was so traumatized that he committed suicide. And 2 days later, someone came forward and said they can't add those extra things. It never would have happened. They lied to him and they terrified him until he killed himself. And I think every single fucking prosecutor connected to that should have lost their goddamn license.
Oh, they should have all been in jail. But that's how fucking corrupt DC is.
God,
you know. That's the problem. That just shows you how that's why I'm such a big fan of decentralization, right? Because you have a group think that is permeated through all of the law enforcement because it's a central authority that dictates their training, their funding, and all of the rest of this kind of shit. You know what I mean? You're not going to have that bullshit happen with your local sheriff. You know what I mean? Like, at least not in the United States. You know what I mean? Unless you live in like, look, let me rephrase it. You're not going to have that happen with your local sheriff in a county in Texas that is not in some kind of major fucking deep blue place, right? That is not going to happen. The sheriff in fucking, bumfuck Texas is going to tell you to kiss my ass. I'm not putting up with that shit. The same thing happened with COVID and all that other kind of stuff. All of these county sheriffs got together and said, we're not enforcing this shit. I'm not putting people in jail for coming out of their house or for not wearing a mask or any of the rest of this bullshit. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm not going to do it. And that's like Missouri.
You've got real criminals to catch.
Right. I have actual problems to deal with. Hey, here's a thought. Let's deal with the highest crime rate that we have in all of these major cities. Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a certain situation over there in England that's happening right now that has a lot of more issues. There's people actually dying and getting murdered and raped over there. Maybe we should dealing with that instead of being worried about what Jack Tarlad puts on Twitter.
And the thing is as well, like they say that it's not like a 2-tier policing system and that it's not a 2-tier justice system. Literally yesterday, I was scrolling through Twitter and there was this video of a guy getting arrested because whilst he was criticizing a bunch of cops, right? He said one swear word. And so they decided to arrest him for saying one swear word. I scrolled like about, 5 more posts down. And it was a video of an armed police officer in London trying to arrest this guy who was suspected of having a knife. But he's screaming at the top of his voice, "Get the fuck down! Get the fuck down on the floor!" So a guy can't say one swear word in conversation, not being aggressive, not shouting or anything like that, but just going, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? That's a public order offence, apparently, because other people might hear you in the area. But a copper can scream, "Get the fuck down!" at the top of his voice, and it's absolutely fine.
Rules for
tell me it's not 2-tier. Yeah, exactly.
It always has been. It always has been. And that's the problem with giving anybody like that kind of authority, right? And that's always the problem with it because the authority goes right. And look, if you're going to have a police force, you're going to have problems like that, right? Because anybody that has issues with insecurity or have a small ego and get off on being in charge of other people, they are going to gravitate towards those people. The same reason with politicians, right? Which is why politicians shouldn't have so much authority, which is why you shouldn't have one city police chief that runs the entire police department for a city of fucking 15, 20, 30, 40 fucking million people, right? That's the problem with this kind of stuff. Things have become too centralized. The power is too much.
In New York, they're resigning in droves. And there weren't enough cops to begin with because they did this stupid defund the police shit. My own cousin was a part of that shit. God, did I have words to say for her? But
actually, the police. Police are actually resigning over here in droves.
Well, one of the things they're trying to do in New York is they're trying to put the illegals in their place.
Of course they are. Of course they are. Because guess what? Guess why? It's the same reason. It's the same reason Adolf used the brown shirts, right? Because they don't know the language. They don't know the customs. They don't give 2 fucks about the people around them because they didn't grow up here. They're not their neighbors. They're not their friends. They're not even part of the same fucking culture. So they'll have no problem. And they come from countries with jackbooted thugs, federales. How often do we hear stories about federales, whether it be South America or Mexico or wherever, right? Fucking corrupt as shit. It's a federal police force. It's not local. It's not controlled by anybody local. It's always gonna think. So they're used to that exact same kind of system. They'll have no problem being your jackbooted thug, and they will crush the American people because guess what? They don't give two fucks. Nope. They don't give two fucks. That is totally intentional. It's not out of desperation. That's someone's scheme, whether it's the devil himself or somebody a little farther into the administrative state. That's intentional. That is absolutely fucking intentional.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fucking, like I said, decentralize everything. Decentralize everything. All of it. This is too big, too much, too many power, and too many hands.
But the thing is, though, they're supposed to serve. They're supposed to serve the public, but what they're trying to do is rule the public.
Yep.
And not serve them. They're not supposed to. You're not supposed to have people in power, fucking, decade after decade. They should be in power for a very short amount of time. Yeah. So that you don't get that sort of greed and you don't get that locked in position of power.
Well, I mean, at least here, I don't know exactly how it's supposed to work in England. At least here, we were never supposed to have a political class. It was supposed to be the cobblers and the farmers and the bankers and whoever go and do 1 or 2 stints and then they go home to their job. Being a politician was never, ever, ever supposed to be their job.
It was never supposed to be a career.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a service. You were supposed to be a public servant. That's what they're supposed to be called. You were supposed to serve the public in that position. And that's why I actually like the idea of Tim Hayes, or not Tim Hayes. Shout out to Tim Hayes though. But Tim Pool, when he said they should make serving in Congress like the fucking jury duty.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like fucking do it like that. You're like, fuck, I gotta go do this. I gotta go do my 6 months in Congress, just like you have to do with like National Guard and stuff like that. They have to hold your job while you're gone and you get compensated the entire time you're there and everything else. And I mean, you're never going to sell it to the people because you're not getting to vote. You're not even getting to choose. You're not, but it's a fun concept. You know what I mean? It's a fun concept, but it's not something you could ever get past. But this is the thing now.
The people who are in power now have the power to be able to write the laws. And so my argument is make being a member of parliament like a minimum wage job. Yep. Yeah. Like, all right. Yeah. Let's say around £40,000 a year. They're currently on £91,000 a year. Yeah, that's nearly £100,000 a year just for going and being an MP. Being an MP is not a full-time job. Okay, you don't have to be an MP. In fact, a lot of MPs have second jobs because being an MP doesn't take up all of their fucking time. But they get £91,000 a year plus tax deductible benefits and all that kind of stuff. Right? Make it. It should be more of an honor to serve your country. It should be an honor to serve your constituents. Make it a lesser paid job, and then let's see who wants to become a member of parliament. Yeah, but it's like what was going on recently was they've literally just yesterday they had a vote on whether or not to keep the winter fuel allowance for elderly people. And some of the Labour MPs were turning around and saying, well, if I don't vote in favour of axing it, then I'll basically get the sack. They'll kick me out of my position, of power. And that's what my issue is with it, is like, it's cushy, isn't it? It's nice, that £91,000 a year. So you don't want to lose that, do you? But in reality, these people who are saying, so I'm reluctantly going to have to vote for it. Yeah, I'm going to have to reluctantly vote in favour of it. They're saying because if I'm removed from my position, then I can't represent my constituents. It's like, okay. But you should be standing up for your constituents, the people who really matter, by having the courage to lose your position. If you voted against it, perhaps they would get to keep it, and you would be able to protect those elderly people who really fucking need it. Yeah. And yes, you might sacrifice your position, you might sacrifice your status, but that's what you're supposed to be doing, protecting your constituents. That's what you're running for. But it's like, no, I'd rather much keep my status. I'd much rather keep my £91,000 a year, thanks.
Oh, and that's the and one of the problems, and that's the problem is, right, it becomes all about ego and narcissism at that point. They don't want to lose. Well, everybody knows me. You read the Old Testament, right, and then you get into the New Testament, right, and when you hear Jesus and like the apostles calling out the Pharisees, when they're calling out the priests, right, they're calling out the Jewish priests is who they're calling out, right, because you did right, but okay. Anyway,
but anyway,
they were the Jewish leaders. Okay.
Yes,
they were the ones in charge of everything. They were the ones that were supposed to be responsible for teaching people the law and making sure that everything. Anyway, so they were specifically calling them out because you didn't get that position. You didn't want that position because you were going to serve your people and because you were going to be a good shepherd or any of that kind of stuff. You wanted that position because you get to sit in the front row. You got to sit in the front row and everybody respected you and everybody knew who you were and all of that kind of shit. It became about that,
status
versus, it all became about status. And that's the biggest problem with any of these positions of power. It becomes a position of status. You're right. They should not be made comfortable in those positions. And one of the biggest issues we have in the United States on the federal level is they are year-round politicians, right? Yeah. In Texas, our legislature meets for 6 months every 2 years, right? And unless there's an emergency session called, that's the only time they go to Austin. That's the only time they're there. All the rest of the time, like my local rep, he has a law firm here in town because he's only up there for 6 months. And that's how you want it, right? Yep. That's the other problem too, is they get stuck in what we call the Beltway bubble, right? Because that's what that Washington, D.C., where all that stuff is. It's called the Beltway. And they get stuck in the Beltway bubble because they don't ever go home. Most of them have houses in both places. And that's one of the arguments for their salaries is because they have to live in two places because the job's so demanding and they have to be able to pay for this. And the other argument is for the salaries is you don't want only the rich to be able to run for these positions. That's always their argument, right? Because if you took away the salaries and the benefits and everything else, then the only people who would ever be able to afford to be in those positions are the already wealthy. Right. And so that's so I kind of understand that argument aspect of that kind of thing. But I think if you just got them the hell out of there and you could also reduce their pay if they were only there for every 6 months and fuck it, I'll even give you every 6 months once a year because it's the federal government, even though I think that's the direct opposite. If anything, you should have to meet even less because the federal government shouldn't be doing as much unless it's an emergency session, which guess what? The president of the United States has the authority to call an emergency session just like anytime he wants, just like every other fucking governor in all 50 states of the United States. So there's no reason for them to be there all fucking year long. They need to vote for shit, get it implemented, get the laws passed, and then have to go the fuck back home and look us in the eyes and deal with us after passing those laws. But because they don't, they're stuck there and they never have to look us in the eyes except for when they come home on campaign stuff. And then, of course, they've got handlers and they can be hidden from people that would actually push them away. But guess what? If you saw that motherfucker at HEB, if you saw him at your local grocery store, you'd go up and say something to his ass. You know what I mean? And they don't get that now. And that's the problem. And also we're horribly underrepresented as well. I would much rather have 1,000 people in our Congress arguing all day long and never being able to get anything done than this fucking conglomerate that we've got up there of the good old boys club and all this other bullshit that does all kinds of shady backdoor deals. I'd rather have 1,000 people arguing in that fucking thing and then never get anything done.
So that's another problem, isn't it? Is like these people who are in positions of power having shares in companies and all that kind of stuff, because now they can be influenced. Now it's like now their bottom line can be affected by decisions that are made by Congress or decisions that are made by Parliament, putting certain restrictions on certain industries, that kind of thing. That affects their bottom line because it affects their shares that they've got in these companies. I don't think that if you're if you're in a position of power like that, if you're in the government, you shouldn't have. You should be made to sell your shares or put them on hold or something like that.
Well,
you can't have any vested interest in anything that happens, and you have to solely go on an unbiased sort of viewpoint.
Well, and
this is the thing. Vote for what your constituents are asking for, not for what benefits you. And what we're seeing is that they are not serving us. They're serving themselves, and they're serving their party.
Yeah, because they tried passing a law like that in the federal government after all that stuff came out about Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of those folks, and how they knew about all of those contracts and stuff that were going in before everybody else.
Insider trading.
Yeah, quite literally insider trading. And so they tried passing a law that said everybody's stocks had to be put into a blind trust that was controlled by someone else, to where you would have no authority to affect what was bought and sold, like a mutual fund, right? Yep. Like everybody's got their retirement funds and stuff, and somebody else just manages it for you, and you don't decide what buys and sells and stuff like that. And of course, they all went, and the few of the guys that stood up and went, yeah, we should do this. Of course, everybody else was like, fuck you, and didn't pass it.
Yep.
Because
there's no way they're going to do that. And that's what I'm saying about like being in a position of power. It's like if even if there could be a motion in Parliament, even if someone had the courage to turn around and say, do you know what? I think that MPs are, or us MPs are on too much money a year, and this should be like a serve your country thing. We're going to put a motion forward, reduce all of our pay to £40,000 a year. No one would fucking vote for that. Who the fuck would vote to reduce their wages?
Nope. No, and that's the problem. You need, and that's a cultural issue, right? Because we have a culture now that has rewarded narcissism, that has rewarded ego, and does not reward self-sacrifice, and doesn't even hold self-sacrifice in the honor that it should be properly held up as the ultimate virtue of all time, right? Sacrificing yourself for your fellow man, for your neighbor, for your family, for whatever. That is the ultimate virtue. That's what Jesus represents, is the ultimate sacrifice, right? And that's the thing about it is we have moved so far away from that as a culture. You're never going to get anybody. You're never going to get enough of them together to stand up and do that until our culture changes in such a way to where those values are valued above everything else. Think about what they've done to Superman. Think about what they've done to Batman. Think about the deconstruction they have done to these characters intentionally to make it to where the self-sacrifice. I mean, how many times did we see Batman put his life on the line? How many times did we see Superman get the living fuck beat out of him to the point where he was damn near dead and was willing to put everything on the line to save his fellow man, to save his adopted home? You know what I mean? And that is a virtue that is not expressed in the culture anymore. And ergo, the people, especially the worst among us, the ones that we vote for into office, they're not going to represent that because we don't represent that. And that's a cultural issue that we have to fix. That's a bottom up problem that we have to fix before anything else will ever change at the top.
And I'm not saying that I think that MPs should jump in front of a bullet, right? But what I am saying is that you should jump in front of a figurative bullet, i.e., you should be able to sacrifice your status for the sort of benefit of your constituents.
Yep.
You should not be thinking. Only one Labour voter, only one member of Labour voted against that motion, basically, or voted in favour of the motion, is what I should say. Because what was happening, the way that it works is they were going to take away the bill. Another member of Parliament who wasn't part of Labour put a motion forward to stop that from happening. So by voting for that motion, you're actually voting against the action, if that makes sense. So
kind of.
So the one Labour MP voted for the motion, basically, and apparently he's going to probably lose his status now. Which, good for him. That one person, that one Labour voter, he's going to lose his sort of status now because Keir Starmer's probably going to take it away from him because he voted against Keir Starmer. Was you going to say something,
let the
Diesel?
old people have enough fucking fuel to stay warm in the winter.
Yeah, basically. I just asked if you were going to say something because I thought you put your hand up for a second. Say something.
No. I'm just been nah.
Yeah, so yeah, that stuff's insane. And like I said, it's going to take a cultural change to affect any of that, which is why I do a culture channel and I don't do a political channel anymore, because I spent 2 years of my life fighting with fucking boomers and busting my butt and going to rallies and documenting things and interviewing people, all to find out that you're not going to fucking change them. You're not going to convince their minds of anything. They're all stuck in their fucking ways. And it's sad to say, all we can do is try to make the next generation better than we are, and sure as hell a whole hell of a lot better than the last generation, because we can argue all blue, and you're never going to change a lot. And it sucks, but you're going to have to wait for it. You're going to have to wait for the boomer generation to die off before we really see any major changes systemically. Right? Systemic changes. You're going to have to wait for the boomer generation to die off, because you see the culture now shifting that way. But in order to remove those people from power, you might as well try to pull teeth out of a rabid Wolverine. You know what I mean? It's like, good luck. You know, and they're so interesting. I mean, it took, we had 2 of them that had to basically die in fucking office before they got rid of them. You know, that chick from California, the delusional old crazy chick that like was pushing the wrong buttons, and that her aides had to tell her which button to fucking push in the Senate. You know, was it Dianne Feinstein or whatever the
yeah,
name
that's the
was?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like a million
Glitch
fucking years
McConnell.
old. Yeah, he's fucking losing it, you know, and it's like, that's
Lost
the problem. Oh, yeah.
Joe Biden has fucking lost it.
Yeah.
The man put on a fucking MAGA hat. I saw him.
And then there's
fucking
Fetterman, who had a stroke and finally became logical.
Right. He fucking had a stroke and actually became kind of sane.
Yep.
That was the biggest backfire in history for the Democratic Party, because we were all like, fuck, he's going to be this fucking retarded tool that they're just going to be able to use for whatever they want. And then he has a stroke and all of a sudden it's like, fuck you guys. Israel's fucking awesome. They need to defend themselves. Fuck them Hamas bastards over there. I hope they kill them all. We're like, that's not what the rest of the party is saying. Where the fuck did this guy come from? Yeah.
Seriously.
God uses everybody for his own
brain
purposes.
started healing and he started becoming more based.
Yeah, there you go. After the stroke. Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Hey, listen, guys, I've actually got to get going because it's 2:45 in the morning.
All right, Jack.
But I just want to say I had to come back for this show, being the last Winding Down Wednesdays. I am looking forward to Thursday night Thursdays, and I just want to say, in the same sort of sentiment as Jason, that you know, when I was on the show up until a short while ago, you know, I thoroughly have enjoyed, apart from having to fucking review The Acolyte and what was it, Loki. I did Loki as well, and we didn't even fucking review that, did we?
No,
but nevertheless,
same thing with the we did do a little bit of Acolyte though. We did do a little bit
yeah,
of Acolyte.
and that was it. It was Ahsoka, wasn't it? You made me sit through Ahsoka. So
yeah, we only ended up doing like 2 or 3 episodes.
But I've thoroughly enjoyed being on this show. We've had the laughs, we've had the yucks. You know what I mean? It's all been fantastic, and I'm sure it's going to be sorely missed. And yeah, just on one final note, you know, how fucking, you know, selfish of you to like go and help out with your church on a fucking Wednesday night. Don't you understand that you are these guys' church in chat? This is their church, right? And you're taking that away from them, you selfish bastard. By going and help, I'm gonna go and help out my fucking church on a Wednesday night instead.
I'm gonna go serve the Lord. Oh, the Lord.
But thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for being so welcoming to me. And you know, you even helped sort of with my channel as well, and getting eyes on my own channel. And so thank you so much. And I've you know, thoroughly enjoyed being a part of Winding Down Wednesdays. So thanks to everyone in the chat, and thanks to all of you guys here on the panel. And you come and check me out on Twitter at JackTarLad. You can check me out on YouTube. Same thing, JackTarLad. Thursday nights tomorrow, Commercial Breakdown, Tuesday nights, game streaming, 10 o'clock both nights. And apart, Wednesdays I'm on Tomby's channel with the midweek Pump Day Chinwag, which we had earlier. So
Nice.
come and check us out. Thanks a lot, Platus, Aspfire. He comes and watches my game streams. So thank you so much anyway, and it's good to see you all again tonight. Until next time, though.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Jack. Have a good night, buddy. Jack Tarland, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night.
I always forget to turn off the repeat when I do that. It always turns itself back on. I don't know why it does that. Oh, yeah. Jack Tarlad, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Tarlad. Well, this has been fun. This has been a lot of fun tonight. That went off on a completely and totally different tangent that I'm sure probably nobody wanted to fucking hear about all the political bullshit. But
y'all went
that's
down
just the way it goes sometimes.
Political rabbit hole.
Yeah, we did. It was kind of wild. It was kind of fun. So, I was going to talk about Space Marine 2. That thing's been a huge success. It's doing great. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm sure neither one of you guys have played it or know anything about it or have much interest in it.
I doubt my PC can run it with my graphics card over here.
That's probably true too.
But yeah, that thing's doing really well. Game, man. I've been playing. I found another copy of it. So I've been playing the 2004 Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay game again, and that game is effing awesome, dude. It is the best movie tie-in game I've ever played. It's like a shooter, and Vin Diesel does it. And it's like, if you ever go through and look at the lists of top best games from 2004, that's always in the top 5 or top 10. And I eventually was like, man, they keep putting this in there. I got to try it out. So I started playing it years back, and I was like, this game is freaking great. It is awesome.
Oh, yeah. I have to check that out one of these days, and that's great. I have a laundry list of games that I still have to play between everybody gifting me cool shit and everything else. I've got so many games on my backlog. It's absolutely insane. One of these days we'll get around to all that.
I found it on Kingwin, which is a great place to get Steam games cheap, man. Mm-hmm. And the other night when me and Iron and Tiny were going over the Riddick movies, and then I was just like, I dropped $13 and bought it, man. Oh, yeah. 2 games. So I used to have a copy of it, but it's on another hard drive somewhere that I didn't feel like, I was lazy and didn't feel like looking for. So.
I didn't feel like digging with it.
Yeah. It was on another hard drive that's disconnected somewhere.
That's not a bad idea, Griffin. Thursday Night Thunder. Yes, that was an ESPN show, but that went off the air in 2002. Name is open. That's not too bad. We might modify it a little bit.
Thursday Night Thunder sounds like wrestling.
Yeah, I was thinking Thursday Night Thunderdome. But I don't know. We don't argue enough over here for that. But I don't know. I like that Thursday Night Thunder. I don't know. We might be able to do something with that. I like that, Griffin. That's not too bad. But yeah. Anybody want to do 9/11 stories real quick before we do memes and end on a positive note? Because it is their holiday after all. I meant to do that before everybody left, but it happens.
I was 45 minutes away. I knew people that were supposed to be there that day. Thank God that they weren't. And a good friend of my family, who's a chiropractor, went down there with some other chiropractors, and they set up tables so they could adjust the firefighters and the EMTs and stuff at the location and go in. I worked with some groups to get water and other things down there to help people during the stuff. And me and a couple of my friends from high school were ready to enlist. And I don't know what their parents said to them, but my grandmother, unfortunately, had been at one point in her life very close friends with the Secretary of Defense at that point, and she informed me that even if I got on the fucking bus to Paris Island, I would not be allowed to get off of it. I was not allowed to enlist. She was literally going to call the federal government and make sure I couldn't enlist. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll be an officer.
I knew a dude in the Guard that was like, he was worried about getting deployed. So they had to do all new IDs and everything. So he went and took the stupidest picture possible because he figured if I died, it'd be like my last joke. And he was like this on his military ID or something, man. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, dude.
There's no way in hell they'd allow that shit nowadays.
He had to. He continued. He said he sit there and would not change his expression. So he was sitting there going like, for like so long. They eventually gave up. He won through attrition.
The fucking Jimbone thundering, thrusting through Thursday.
No.
Thundering through Thursday. Thrusting Thursdays. No, Jimbone. I don't think we're gonna go with that. Ooh, Thursday night Thunder was drag racing. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool then. I don't know. We might have to figure something out with that. I like that though. But yeah, that was, and I know that was one of those things. It was like 9/11 kind of probably recommitted, because I had always planned on enlisting. And I think that was one of the things, like 9/11 just kind of recommitted me to that when it all went down. And all that kind of stuff. My mom was in the Army at the time as well. I mean, I was in a freshman algebra class, trying to flirt with a girl. When we got out of class and walked out there, and the fucking big old TVs were pushed out of the library. You remember the big screen TVs, the big boxes? They put them out into the hallway to put the news on in there. So as all of us walked by, we could see what was going on. So yeah.
Well, it was really weird because the first plane hit right before homeroom for us, and no one listens to the homeroom announcements. And I could hear the principal saying something about a plane and a building, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is Coons doing now? Because we had this theater director who'd make these insane modern plays that made no sense, and I was convinced that's what I was listening to. And then I get into my next class, which was art, where we were allowed to listen to the radio, and we had the radio on, and so we could hear everything happening. And I remember sitting there like everyone is silent, no one's moving. And then you can hear the guy going, turn around. The second tower just got hit. And at that point, everyone in school started freaking out, because when the second tower went down, the last of the cell phone stuff went down. And most of the people in my school had parents that lived and worked on Wall Street or down there. And everyone was losing their mind. And to try to keep everyone calm, I guess, the principal told everyone they were not allowed to leave campus. At which point I said, fuck you, got in my car, drove up to the front gates and said, who wants to go home and check on their parents and use, because that was the thing. I was like, landlines will still work. Go home and use a landline, or use, like, we were trying to get the payphone, use the payphones and everything. It was all overextended. And I literally drove like 3 or 4 carloads of people back to their homes, because like, I'm not fucking staying on this campus when I can't get in touch with who the people I think might be there. Hell no.
Right. Yeah. And my little sister was going to school on base, because I think the elementary school was on base. And so my little sister was going to base, and they locked everything down on the base. There was literally MPs at every door to my little sister's school, and like all of that kind of stuff, because I mean, they were on an active military base. And I remember that it's like they had the howitzers at the gates for a long ass fucking time. I think it was up to like almost 2 years, if not longer. They had the howitzers at the gate of every fucking military base for a long ass time because of that shit. Yeah. And it's fucking insane to think about. It's just absolutely insane to think about. But so many people have tried to erase it from history. So many people have tried to forget about it. That, like, I know it's a tough subject to talk about, especially for like you, Tiny, who lived in New York at the time that everything happened, and just for any of us out there, especially anybody that lost family or knew anybody that lost anybody in that. And it's one of them situations where it's tough to talk about, especially with so many of us that actually still remember exactly where we are. This is, it not to say it's a fair comparison to Pearl Harbor or anything like that for those generations, but that's what it was for us, because we hadn't had anything like this happen. Everybody that was in that generation knows where they were on Pearl Harbor Day. You know what I mean? And nowadays, a lot of us forget about it. And a lot of us forget that it's in December, that it's, that it's just a week before Christmas. You know what I mean? And that's, yes, December 7th. Thank you. So yes, several weeks before Christmas. And that's the thing, is it's like, it's not memorial. It's not
part of our living memory.
Right.
This was the only attack on American soil in our living memory.
Yeah. The only successful one. Yeah. And
they clamped down on that totalitarian patriot, all that stuff afterwards, man.
And that's what I was going to follow.
Ruined. Like, look, everything what we lost was so different before. It was, dude, you used to go like at Auburn for football games, man. You used to get park your freaking cars and RVs right outside of the school buildings, because And they'd be there on Wednesdays, man. I remember one morning, it was a Friday morning, man, and I'm like, I'm getting my minor in alcoholism, and this dude walks out of his RV at like 7:45 in the morning drinking a beer, and I'm like, dang, bro, it started early, man. They can't after that, they couldn't do it anymore, man.
Yeah, it couldn't be that close to the buildings anymore. Yeah, I mean that's when the barriers, like in the military, with a lot of the flight line restrictions happen, and all the big concrete barriers and all of that. Because you used to be able to, you know, not quite just be able to walk onto an active flight line, but it was certainly a whole fuck ton easier. You used to be able to park right in front of your building, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. And the gate wasn't until after the building or after the buildings where you actually got onto an active flight line, and then everything got pushed all the way out in front of the building. I think our concrete barriers, like you couldn't get closer than like 25 feet to the front of the building or something like that. And I mean, 25 feet's kind of fucking stupid anyway, because I mean, if you're really going to do something that's going to be in a fucking vehicle, it's going to take out more than 25 feet. But you know, that was their best stuff based on, you know, most explosions and radiuses and stuff like that. But it's just like, that's the problem. We let fear take control of us, and we sacrificed so much because as a culture, we weren't strong anymore. We weren't willing to stand up, and we weren't willing to value the things that we were supposed to value. It's like, what's the rumor? What's the old story about Benjamin Franklin? You know, a republic if you can keep it. Yep. You know, and you can't sacrifice security. You can't sacrifice freedom for security because you'll lose both.
Yep.
And we've lost a lot of that. You know, Diesel said the Patriot Act. I mean, I remember going to the airport in the 90s, and my grandfather hugged me and my grandmother and my aunt right before we got on the plane to go to Las Vegas. Right. You can't get past, you know, you've got in some airports, you've got miles to walk after you've gotten past security.
Yep.
You know, before you even get anywhere near your fucking terminal, and just losing. And that's something that a lot of kids nowadays will never understand, what it was like to just be able to literally walk up to the terminal and watch your family's plane fly away, you know, and because guess what good did that do us? How many terrorist attacks have the fucking TSA stopped?
We don't know. They won't give us the figures.
It's because it's zero.
Probably.
That's why. If they trust me, they'd be just like the FBI and anybody else. If they caught somebody and they had confirmation that they caught somebody and they caught them with a bomb in their pants and whatever else it was that they were constantly trying to look for, dude, that would be the front page news on the New York Times and on every other mainstream legacy news media out there. Look, we can justify our existence, except all we ever get are stories about how they're groping grandmas and fucking messing with kids. You know what I mean?
Putting Tulsi Gabbard on a terrorist watch list.
Yeah, that was just beyond the pale.
Yeah. So that's why it's important to remember this stuff. That's why it's important to talk about this stuff, because we have to learn the lessons that we have to learn from the lessons for the mistakes that we made during that time period, and make sure that once again, like COVID, all of these people so many people just complied. So many people just fell in line with the lockdowns and everything else. And it's like, that's the problem. It's like, how many times do we have to teach you this fucking lesson that you can't trust the government when it comes to shit like this? They will lie to you, and they will do anything they can to increase their own power and their rule over you. And we can't let crises do that to us. We just
remember there was a time when I thought Bush was a decent guy. That's long gone. I was an idiot.
Well, I still think he was probably decent compared to the alternative. Doesn't mean he was good.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
You know. I mean, I still would have taken. He's
a piece of trash.
Okay, I still would have taken him or fucking Mitt Romney's fucking rhino ass over Barack Obama too, and I would have taken John McCain's fucking warmongering ass over Barack. Although actually, we probably got both. We probably basically got the exact same thing.
Like they're all. It's like they're all the same, man. They're interchangeable. We got one difference.
I mean, fucking Obama bombed more countries than Bush did.
Oh yeah, no, they're all.
And he killed American citizens on purpose.
They're all just, I can't even go there, man. I'm just,
Yeah. And I mean, that's the problem. It's like I said, that's why stuff like this is talked about, because we need to understand not only the tragedy that happened, remember our fallen, remember our brothers and sisters that we lost that day, but we also have to remember in their memory, in their honor, we need to also remind ourselves to never allow fear to take such control of us to where we give the government overreaching power. Because think about something else too. Think about post 9/11, how much our deficit has increased, how much our inflation has bloated up. And it's all been under security state, welfare state, war machine. It's all been under these things that you can almost tie back directly to 9/11 and how much things changed afterwards, and that's something, never forget and always remember to never allow things like that to ever happen again, because holy fucking God.
Yeah.
Well, on that extremely happy and wonderful thing. Yeah, mission accomplished. Fucking hell. That shit again. But it's one of those things. Like I said, I was hoping not to end on that because it's such, it's kind of a little bit of a downer, depressing thing. Space Marine 2 did great. We're winning the culture war. Woke is losing. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that as well. There are good things going on out there in the world, no matter how depressing a lot of the other things feel as well. But ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it is coming to that time, and to end on a much higher note and something that is funny and will make all of us tickle like silly little folks out there. Let's get to memes, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Night King deplorables. And amen to that. Animation overload, no matter what happens, God is in control. Amen, my friend. Amen to that. So here we have, boys and girls. Only the government should have guns. A real Indian would know better. So true. So true. The truth is, men do everything for themselves, but you'll never hear a man calling himself a strong, independent man. That's true. That is true.
Yep.
That is true. Is that? I know. But it looks like I know. But I know. Look, we're parents now. And a big part of that is pretending our child's favorite cuddly isn't a badly censored dick. Minecraft. Oh, that is great. They knew what they were doing.
And you ever seen Crowder from years back when he was playing Minecraft as Trump and he's building the wall? He's building the wall, dude.
No, I didn't.
And he gives him wings and he's doing the Trump voice and he's all dressed up like Trump and he's playing Minecraft.
Dude, that is fucking great. No, I love that.
Oh, it's hilarious, man. That just reminded me of it. He's got fireballs flying out of the wall and shit, attacking people. They try to come up on it.
Dude, that's fucking great. I love it. Dungeons and Dragons is not now, nor has it ever been medieval fantasy. 1974, Dungeons and Dragons. Rules for fantastic medieval war games. 2014, Worlds of Adventure. The beginning with a foundation of medieval fantasy. And then add the creatures, places, and magic that make these worlds unique. Yeah. No. Dumbasses. Now that's a fucking tourist. That's a fucking tourist.
It's horror Amarato.
It is. Teach the controversy. Hey, hell yeah. Absolutely. Teach the controversy indeed. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's great. Shout out to Horror Amarata. Horror Amarata.
I cannot see Cthulhu without thinking of her from now on, man.
It will. I will forever.
Burn in my brain.
Forever. Her and her jiggly Cthulhu bits. Shout out to G Prime 9085. Love George Algonopoulos. I can't pronounce his last name though. Hey, Concord, you doing all right, buddy? We haven't heard from you in a while. Yeah. It's proper LGBTQA plus I alphabet soup mafia representation. There's a very high chance that it'll die here. It'll commit suicide very soon. Proper trans representation. Ron Chestnut, 89 years old, was stopped by the police around 2 a.m. and was asked where he was going at that time of night. Ron replied, I'm on my way to a lecture about alcohol abuse and the effects it has on the human body, as well as smoking and staying out late. The officer asked, really? Officer asked, really? Who's giving that lecture at this time of night? Ron replied, that would be my wife. Oh, I love it. I love it. You mean to torture me? I know pain, child. But do you know my 19-page backstory? Wait, Aliena Featherwind was born a human princess, but abandoned because of her snow white hair. Please stop. She was found by a tribe of wood elves who raised her as their own, but as a child of two worlds. Oh, God. I love that. Oh, that is great. Oh, I love this. Working, I can't pronounce the word. Legman's Lament configuration. Lock puzzle box from Hellraiser. What exactly do you mean by working? Oh, I can show you pain. And
I have never watched those movies, man. I don't think I will, man. I heard they were
dude, the first Hellraiser movie is great. And yeah, it is fucked up. But yeah, no, it's great. Tim Hayes, our very first channel member. What's going on, buddy? I have a headache. Can you guys just be cool? That's great. That's great. When people travel to the past, they worry about radically changing the present by doing something small. Few people think that they can radically change the future by doing something small in the present.
There's that. That's an actually really good point.
It is a really, really good point.
And that reminds me that people should watch Terminator Zero.
There you go. Who you gonna call? Goat's butter. That's a classic. There's no time to explain. Oh, wait. No time to explain. Get in the pee. Imagine breaking real hard and just rolling off into traffic. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fucking great. Oh, not again. Damn it, Tony. Why'd you buy this fucking car? Man, the government told me to.
Yeah, I had a lady with that smart car. She was sitting there telling me that it's got a NASCAR roll cage. And I'm just like, lady, or a titanium roll cage. I was like, I don't care what kind of cage it's got. You hit something going 50 miles an hour, you are splat.
Yep.
Those things,
100%.
I'm just like, I was like looking at the front where you sit in like the front of the car. I'm just like, what is that, a foot and a half? You got no dead crash space. The dead crash space is you, and you will be dead when you crash.
Yep, absolutely. Declaration means coming soon. I'm sorry, sir. Your card has been declined due to your political views. This has actually happened. Yep. It has actually happened. Stop calling them public schools. They aren't open to the public. They aren't accountable to the public. They are run by the government. They are regulated by the government. They are funded by the government. They are compelled by the government. They are government schools.
Yes, they are.
I don't know. You keep a good eye on your local school board, and they're pretty fucking accountable, especially when you have a good one. So that's why it's so important to be involved in your local politics. Me, why does everyone keep asking if I'm okay? Also me, all day with my dumb face. That is definitely Jim Bone in a heartbeat. I have met Jim Bone in person. This is absolutely Jim Bone in real life.
No, he seemed happy in Vegas.
Well, that's because he was talking to you, Tiny. Everybody has a smile on their face when they're talking to you.
Oh, thank
you. Unless you step on their foot with a high heel.
You picked me up and put me down on your foot. You do not get to keep blaming me for that.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. My right foot still aches every time I think about it. Just a little bit. I feel a twinge in my right foot every fucking time.
You pussy.
See, I told you. Indeed, looking at you, Tiny, I was happy. I fucking told you.
Thank y'all. I feel very good for that.
There you go. There you go. Oh, it's fucking great. Disney legally executing me after I called the newest Marvel film slop because I didn't read the fine print when I went to Disneyland in 1998.
Yeah.
No,
the fact that they thought that they were going to get away with that and it wasn't going to blow up in their face is the biggest, worst PR thing they've ever fucking done.
Well, and that's the thing is, that's the only reason they backed off is because they knew if that went to court, it would have set a precedent that this bullshit was not going to stand for something like this. And Disney would refuse to do that because that would have taken away their scare tactic. Because I guarantee you, they've scared a bunch of people into arbitration with this kind of nonsense.
Probably.
So, yeah. Yep. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Wait a second. Someone explain this to me. If the B in LGBT stands for bi, doesn't that mean there are only two genders? You've been banned participating.
Well, it's also like when people say, I'm not bisexual, I'm pansexual. I'm like, so you're into bestiality? Because there's nothing else past bisexual that doesn't go there.
I can't even go. I don't even pretend to understand all that nonsense. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook.
Well, and that's why it's so easy to call them out with shit like what Tiny said. Oh, you're pansexual, so you're into like animals and fish and like all that other kind of stuff. Because that's really
and they
the
get
only
mad at you when you say that. You're like, but that's the only thing that makes any sense if you speak English.
Yep.
None of it makes any sense. It's all nonsense.
Now it's acceptable to drunkenly throw an axe. It's time to bring back lawn darts. Amen.
I can get behind that. I'm not playing with them anymore. I think we just lucked out. No, not
There's a
lucked out.
meadery. There's a meadery here that makes mead, and they have axe throwing contests on a regular basis, and I just find that to be hilarious.
Dude, every place I know.
Sharp objects.
Yep, every place I know down here. We had one of those places down here, and they had a bar in there. Every one of those places has booze in them that I've seen. So yeah,
and man, those are little lawn darts those kids are playing with. We had some spears, man. I might could launch one and hit you in Texas with it. Those things were huge. We're like
fucking great. Starting your day with an early morning run is a great way to make sure your day can't get any worse than it started.
Hey,
I'm with that person.
Hey,
I hate running. I have always hated running.
I love it. I did it 2
I got very
miles
sick,
today.
and I had to donate my body to research studies because no one was doing any legitimate clinician shit with what's wrong with me. I found out that I have something called wonky breathing. That is literally what's in my medical records, wonky. And it turns out I don't actually process CO2 quite right. So when I run, my brain thinks it's too much oxygen, so it stops taking in oxygen no matter how much I breathe. So I get hypoxic. So I have every excuse for hating running, and I am so grateful for my doctors for giving it to me.
Well, that would just be an absolute nightmare, man. I'm actually jogging now. Your
crazy ass runs 3 miles when you're freaking broken from the hospital. I don't want to hear it.
No, man. I'm actually doing what I did 17 years ago on the same road. It's nice. There's not the hills aren't there, and it is from stop sign to stop sign. It is 1 mile, man. Exactly. So I start at one end, go to the other, go past where my dad's house used to be, go down there, and it's still. You can hear cars and from way off, and I don't know. It's
therapeutic for you.
Yes, it is. It's freaking. It's pure bliss, man. I love it.
Mostly, I have nothing against people who actually enjoy running, but I never enjoyed it, and now I have every excuse to never do it again.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't get paid to run anymore, so yeah. Who should play Snow White? Gal Gadot, Anna de Armas, Rachel Ziegler, Terry Crews.
Yeah,
I'm all for Terry Crews. Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that.
Though I do love how many people are making fun of the fact that the idea that Ziegler is more attractive than Godot is just insane.
Dude, I know that shit was so well. That's not what fair means in our story. Oh, so you're changing fucking definitions again to fit the fact up that you picked a fugly bitch to try to show up a really fucking hot chick. Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Good job. The original Star Wars, Disney Star Wars.
Yep.
So true. We had some great pictures of her. There were some fun eye candy today on the daytime stream. I try to keep that for the guys so they'll pay attention. I'm too Saxon for my shirt. So Saxon, it hurts. Who posted this? I want to beat whoever.
Not me, but I wish I had.
It was
That's
Jimbo.
Hilarious. As a historian, I find that hilarious.
It was Jimbo. Of course it was fucking Jimbo. Of course it was. Oh my God.
And there's another reason he's happy when he talks to me. I like his humor.
There you go. Trejo's tacos. You're not sad. You just need some tacos. Amen to that. Absolutely. Tacos make everything better. As a child, it confused me how no one saw Clark Kent as Superman. And as an adult, I'm still confused.
I have put on my glasses and had people not recognize me. I don't understand it, but it does seem to work sometimes.
Yeah, man, you just got to change your voice.
Okay.
Yeah, also with Clark, he hunched his shoulders. He looked shorter than he really was. He was very biteable in a lot of ways, whereas Superman's just like, I'm Superman.
I'll tell you how you can change. Watch Superman 2 in the moment when Lois Lane is talking to stuff, and he goes from Clark Kent to Superman when she shoots the gun, and just like that, he swaps, man.
Yep.
That is such a good movie. I saw it so many times when I was a kid.
This is where I watched my parents die, Pippa. You know, if they had been armed, they'd probably still be alive and shit.
Oh, shit.
Fucking dark, but it's not wrong.
Nope, it's not.
I don't know what Pippa is, but shout out to Pippa. Oh, I'm not going to show that. Even though it is a cartoon drawing. Sharks are the only animals that never get sick. They're also immune to diseases, including cancer. This is mainly due to the fact that the government hasn't tried to regulate their health care. Oh, that is fucking great. My community, self-doubt. I love your streams. Dude, that is totally fucking me. That is totally fucking me sometimes, especially with I showed off a couple of leaked trailers that I shouldn't have. And ever since then, the algorithms absolutely crushed me to no fucking end. And so I even started another channel. Yeah, no, trust me, that was Iron Oxide with me last week, on this show. So I'm shout out to Iron Oxide. He came in and fucking put Pat back in my step, as well as everybody out there in the chat and shit like that. So fucking yeah, I shout out to you guys, keeping me motivated, keep me going. Yeah, Iron Oxide's great. Please reply to this email by the 12th. Me reading the email on the 20th.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Like there are so many better ways to get a hold of me than fucking email. Like, don't expect a response anytime soon.
Well, I was like that, but then I get like Mike Huckabee's prayer tree, and I read that every day. So,
oh, that's cool.
All the prayer requests, man. I started doing that as part of my daily praying stuff. So
yeah, no, I check my email every day for a couple of things, and that's about it. I get way too many fucking emails otherwise.
I check my email once a week. If I check Facebook once a week, if I keep missing things, but I just don't want to deal with it, so I still don't do it.
The last time I got on Facebook was when your Twitter account was suspended, honey. That was the last time you were like, something on Facebook. So I got on there and I'm just like, oh, okay. And then that is the last time I have logged into that site was back then.
Well, the thing is,
like a year ago,
most of my family is, and the few people that I still interact with from before I got sick, it's all on Facebook. And yeah, I'll be honest, some of the stuff I say on Twitter is the truth, but if I put it on Facebook, I'd have so much shit to deal with that I don't even go anymore because I don't want to deal with the bullshit. I can't say what I want to say. I can't say what I actually believe because I have friends and family that will literally lose their shit and probably cut me off. And I'll admit there's a lot of days when I don't give two shits and I really want them to all cut me off. And then my mom yells at me and says, no. I'm 40 and I couldn't see my mother.
Nah, I'm kind of with you on that one. I have plenty of friends and family members that I had no problem telling them to go fuck themselves right away. I don't give a shit. If you want to believe in evil, then that's your right. And you can do that because you were given free will by God. It doesn't mean I have to have you involved in my life in any way, shape, or form. And certainly not influencing my fucking kids in any way, shape, or form. You are not worth me losing my soul or my children's souls. Just to be nice, just to get along, because this is my problem. And I have said this before, and I have said this several times, and you're going to get a little bit of a rant from me right now, because this fucking bullshit, nonsensical argument that got told about you shouldn't talk about politics and religion in polite company because it'll offend people. Fuck you and fuck that. That bullshit right there about not worrying offending polite company is exactly what has got us in this fucking position right now. Because people had their fucking testicles and had their backbones neutered from them and ripped out all so they could get along and wouldn't offend people. Fuck you. Not offending people is exactly what got us in this situation. Now you walk through life on fucking eggshells and dancing around tulips because you don't want to offend somebody. I'm sorry. If you want to murder babies, I'm going to call you out for that. If you want to trans our kids and cut off their genitalia, I'm going to call you out for that. If you think any of this shit is okay, I'm going to fucking call you out for it. I don't give a fuck if you're my mother, because I have screamed at my mother with these conversations. And guess what? Mama still comes down every weekend, still calls me every week, and still loves seeing pictures of her grandbabies, even though I know that she has heard me scream at her before about how much I disagree with her on this shit. So guess what? If they're really your friends, if they're really your fucking family, and I'm not necessarily directing this at you specifically, Tiny, I'm talking about everybody as a whole. If they're really such good friends and fucking family of yours that love and adore you so much, they wouldn't cut you off for disagreeing on political fucking opinions. And guess what? I don't think it's disagreeing on political opinions. It's disagreeing on the moralities of the world, what is good and what is evil. And guess what? I don't give a fuck who you are. If you believe in evil, you can go fuck yourself. If you want to worship at that fucking altar and sacrifice children and the next generation and everything we hold in love because you want to own the Chads, or Trump's a bad guy and he said mean things, then you can shove that shit right up your ass. Enjoy hell and enjoy being alone with all your fucking cats, and enjoy while the rest of the world goes against you, because those same kind of fucking people are the same kind of people as Star Wars explained, that are losing their fucking minds over the fact that reality is smacking them in the face. It's the same kind of people that had their brains broke in fucking 2016 because they just knew the world was going to go exactly the way they said it was, because they were on the right side of history and they could do nothing wrong. They were the good people. Well, it turns out, guess what? You're all the fucking baddies after all.
Oh, we're
so
the
fuck
baddies.
you and fuck that. Yep. Yeah. I hate that shit. I am not dancing around tulips. If I won't do it for my own fucking mother, why the fuck do you think I'm going to do it for you? So, I can't stand that shit. I can't stand that shit. Fucking drives me insane. I blame the boomers and all for that. I blame the boomers and the fucking Gen Xers all for this shit, because they sat around fucking quietly and allowed this bullshit to happen, all because they didn't want to rustle any feathers. Fuck you and fuck that. I'm here to rustle feathers.
Not this generation X.
Well, talking about the general, oh, well, we're the smallest generation. Oh, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't see you pushing boomers out of power. You know what I mean? It's just, it's so fucking frustrating. It's so fucking frustrating. So I can't stand that kind of shit.
Me and my best friend were red pill back in like 1996 or 97, man. We were watching that. He had the DVD of that Waco, the documentary behind Waco that had the FLIR infrared camera in the helicopter. We knew what was going on way back then, dude.
Yeah, and that's always the thing. It's like, and we know that there are some people you're never going to reach. There are some people you are never going to talk to. The story was the same in the Old Testament. It was in the New Testament. It was the same way in past cultures that it is now. There are some people who are going to go to hell no matter what you try to talk to them about.
In Revelation, man. And people will be sitting there when Jesus comes back, and they will be sitting there when the wrath of God comes down, and they will still refuse to bend the knee, man. It says so in there, man. They will still refuse. Can you imagine that? Seeing that stuff and you still refuse?
Yes, I can, because it already happened. Think about the Old Testament. How many times did that happen in the Old Testament, where these people saw the miracles of God? They were witnessing this and watching this, and you still had to wander around in 40 years, and which actually, it's kind of funny. I think I've slightly caught onto this before, but I've never expressed it out loud. But literally the 40 years in the desert, right, was to get the last generation to die off.
Basically.
Tell me we're not in our 40 years of desert position right now, waiting for the fucking boomers to die off.
Dude. Back in the Old Testament was like this. It was like this, and then King so and so came and he did good by God, and then like the next dude would come around and then he'd mess up, and then God would have to be like, pow. And then it would be like, all right, let's do good for a while. And then, but you know, you think about it, that's kind of how we are too, man. We do good for a while, and then you get the smackdown laid down on you, man. I know for like, dude,
It's
for
the
me,
cycle of culture.
It happened to me several times, man. It's like all them brushes with death, and eventually, man, it kind of that last time kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I don't think I have another one in me. I'm just like, ooh. That's why I'm like, that's why, see, man, that's why I'm out when I go jogging. And I said this in like the other like little group chat thing, I am a walking, talking miracle, man. 17 years ago, I'm able to do now what I did 17 years ago. And like, let me tell you something, around 2012 or 13, I didn't think there was a chance. I had one, as my dad described, one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. I didn't think I'd ever, man, I couldn't even walk, much less do any of the stuff I'm doing now. And now I'm like, man, I'm doing that. And I come back, my knees aren't hurting me. My hip, man, I had my hip x-rayed and I checked out that artificial hip. Looks perfect, brand new. You can see the cartilage, the fake cartilage. It's a good thing about having an artificial hip. You can see every bit of the artificial hip joint where the cartilage is, all that stuff is good to go, man. And I'm just...
Well, my dad's artificial hips, they told him not to be running or doing stuff on them. And he had one of them popped out not that long ago. And when he went to the hospital, they said, oh, is this your second or your third hip? He said, no, this is the first one. They said, after 10 years, most people have to replace them. And he's had his for 20.
Nice.
Yeah, mine is coming up on like 9 years. And I was worried about that. So, because like I was just... thought I had some issues in it, so I went to go get checked out and then got an x-ray and checked out the x-ray, and it's perfect.
That's good
I look at that, and I was looking at the because of the way that they shot the x-ray, I could see the left one too. And on when you don't have an artificial hip and the cartilage doesn't really show up on the x-ray, it shows as a space between the joint, and the space between that joint was about the same size as the artificial cartilage on that right side. So they're both looking good. So I'm just like, when as soon as I saw it, I was like, does this look no? Yeah, it looks normal. And I've been doing all these strengthening exercises to strengthen that joint, doing some certain things like that. And then when I do the jogging, trust me, it's little tiny steps. It's no sprinting, no twisting, all this keeping my feet underneath me as much as I can. It's yeah, I'm probably won't be able to do it for too much longer, but right now I'm enjoying it, and I'm not hurting myself. So it's not good on the joints, but I am minimizing it as much as possible. Got the shoes, the knee braces, taking the very small steps, doing everything right. Nothing's really hurting afterwards. I'm just like sore in the right places, in your calves, making your calves do all the work, and part in your quads and your thighs and stuff. So, yay. Yeah, he's got it for 20. Yeah, that's what I heard. They were like, I think like 10 to 15 years. I think I've heard that. But I was looking at mine, and it looked perfect. There was no, in the top part of that ball, there was no, everything was just perfectly shaped, just like that an artificial joint would look. All of that was perfect. It just, the curve, everything from the cartilage on there, no indentations, no anything, no striations, nothing. So I'm like, yes, I should have took a picture of it. Now I'm gonna go back. Next time I get a chance, I'm gonna go back there and take a picture of it on my phone so I can pull it up and be like, hey, cool.
And before we get back to memes, I just thought about something else while I was going and taking a leak. If more people on social media, and especially on platforms like Facebook, stood up and said something to these people instead of everybody being quiet to get along, maybe these psychopaths out there that want to dogpile people and that disagree with their opinions would stop doing that, because if the majority would actually stand up and go, no, you're the ones that are crazy on that particular platform, they'd realize that they were in the wrong, and maybe they should reevaluate their lives. But because everybody stays quiet and doesn't say anything, these people are left unchallenged on these platforms, which is the direct opposite of what we've seen now with Twitter and Elon Musk. And as well as that's what we're seeing, the reality of the culture shift and people getting smacked in the face by it. That's why you see like people like
Star Wars Explained and all that kind of stuff, having meltdowns and losing all of their shit because they are now having to face the reality that they are not the majority and they never have been. And of all of these screaming heads out there on social media platforms that are the people you know and love, if maybe they would start to realize that they are also the minority, if everybody would stop being quiet and stop trying to just get along to get along, these people would realize that they're the crazy ones. And maybe, just maybe, you get a few of them to reevaluate their lives and opinions. But if you stay quiet, that's never going to fucking happen.
No, so. I pray for them. I pray for the lost souls, man. Try to do it all the time because there's lots of them.
But back to memes. There are no bad dogs. All dogs are nice. Chihuahuas. I'll cut you, man.
Yeah, them things are mean, boy. You can always tell when a Chihuahua's full-blooded. They are the meanest little rats. Ugh. Now, if they're like a little bit mixed, like Butters, or like my neighbor, her dog that she had, man, looks just they're sweet. You're like, oh, you can tell you're not a full-blooded Chihuahua. That's why you're sweet. You look like one, but you're not trying to you're not.
I don't know.
Constantly.
I took care of a Dalmatian puppy when I was younger because I thought I wanted a puppy, and my mom said if I took care of someone else's dog, I could. And my friends went on vacation, so I took care of their Dalmatian puppy. For years, I still had socks with holes in them. That thing tried to eat my ankles
those things
every fucking day. I was not happy with that dog.
I heard they're crazy too, man. I heard those things are mean.
Well,
I know they work good for firefighters, but puppies are mean.
The Dalmatians got a bad rap because of a lot of the overbreeding that happened because of the popularity of the movies. And also, you have to understand what Dalmatians are. They're okay family dogs, but they will get attached to one family member specifically, and they will be up that family member's butt all the time. And other people will be able to hang out with them, other people will get with them, but they are attached to it. They will latch on to a single person in the family and be their dog. That's the way it was with my grandpa, my family's Dalmatian. Purdy, she was a purebred like German Dalmatian, and she was part of a
German Dalmatian.
She was, because she actually had blue eyes, and in the American the American Dalmatians, it's considered a birth defect, but in the German Dalmatians, that's how you know they're a pureblood. And she was part of a puppy. She was part of a puppy mill that was down the street from us.
German Dalmatian.
Right. But she was part of a puppy mill that was down the street from it. Well, actually, it was right across the street from us when we lived out in the country, and she got out and escaped, and she ended up becoming our dog. And the old guy came and got us the papers and all that kind of stuff and everything else.
Nice.
And but no, she was attached to my grandfather's hip. If he would not take her outside with him when he went out to the garage to work on his guns or whatever else he was working on, she would stand at the window and whine and like wag her tail wanting out because my grandfather was outside and she wasn't. So yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, Dalmatians got a little bit of a bad rap. You got to know how to handle it. And they're full of energy. You have to work them and all of that kind of stuff too. So
well, Katsumi doesn't really meow, she kind of squeaks. And if my mom and I both go out the front door and we're like outside in the yard, she'll stand at the door and she'll squeak and squeak and squeak until we either let her out or we come back in. And it's like she just does not want us to be out there without her.
That's cute. That's adorable.
I love this. Oh, the creature from the Black Galoon. Yeah, creature from the Black Galoon. He's like, I don't have a cereal. Everybody, even the Xenos got a cereal down here on the bottom.
That's all fucked up.
Right? And that poor man, poor guy. Good fences make good neighbors. Bad neighbors make good fences.
Yeah.
He might have been onto something. I'm just saying. He might have been onto something.
He did stop the Ottoman invasion of Europe. So
yeah.
And people don't understand, like everyone outside of Romania and parts of Hungary like to talk about him as a monster. But if you look at the amount of people he killed versus the amount of people like Henry VIII killed, very similar numbers, and he had a lot more reason to do it. And there are people in Romania who talk about him like he'll return. You know, like in England, they say at some point, England will truly need Arthur and Arthur will return. They say the same thing about Vlad in Romania.
Wow. That's crazy. So yeah, he's
to be
a
honest,
hero.
if you look at I don't want to get anyone in trouble, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but if you look at what seems to be a Muslim invasion of Europe, Vlad might be coming back.
Oh, dude, that would be the most insane, ironic turn of events and like justice that I've ever seen. Oh, that would be. Oh, we're glad that Vlad, Europe needs you. Lord, can we get him back? New power station to be powered by J.R.R. Tolkien spinning in his grave.
Yeah, that is so disgusting. They have destroyed every single aspect of what Tolkien stood for and what the stories were about in every way possible. It's just gross.
Biggest billion-dollar dumpster fire of a failure that I think has ever been done in media, in like Hollywood and television. I mean, I can't think of anything that was $1 billion in one television show, right? This isn't like Star Wars where you bought the whole thing for like $3 billion or whatever the hell it was at the time. One show cost $1 billion and it's this much of a disastrous dumpster fire.
Yep.
Like, holy shit. Talk about having money to burn. Don't fear the Meeper. I love it. I love that song too. That's one of my favorite that's probably the only Blue Oyster Cult song I actually know, but it's one of my favorite songs of all time. Like I just absolutely love it.
And I'll be honest, it was on a CD my ex-fiance made for me when I first got really, really sick, of like songs that just made me feel better and made me deal with it better. And this was one of the ones on the CD.
Yeah, it's a great one. And when you actually realize what the words mean to it and everything else about how it's like accepting death and accepting that that's the way it goes sometimes. Not only is it a perfect Halloween song, which is why it's played on like every single Halloween CD out there, but it's also just an all around just great fucking song. So yeah, absolutely. I love that one. What makes us human? Selecting all images with traffic lights.
I hate when Twitter makes you do that. I get really annoyed.
Twitter doesn't ever make me do it, but I get plenty of websites that do it.
All right, I get tired of that. And the
decided that I'm
crosswalk.
not human like 6 different times and tried to make that I'm human 6 different fucking times.
Enough with the crosswalks and the bicycles
and the motorcycles and everything else. It's funny. I love it. Minecraft and Halo are the only 10-year-old games that aren't dead. Change my mind. Dungeons and Dragons. Chess. Oh, that is great. That is great. Arkansas man arrested for taking turns shooting each other while wearing bulletproof vests after drinking. God forbid men have hobbies.
That's not a hobby. That's just stupid. I'm not sure it should be illegal, but it's definitely stupid.
Well, and that's
pretty funny too.
It is. And it's like, what are you going to charge them with? Assault? Because of the other. Okay. Yeah, I guess that would be the only thing you can get them for.
Dude, yeah, man, and that stuff hurt like crazy too, man.
I hate the concept of victimless crimes to begin with. Like I think those are an absolute I think those are an absolute violation of every form of civil liberties out there on the planet. So like that's why I have issues with this. That's also why I have a problem with like DUI laws and shit like that too, because unless like I'm okay with if you get into an accident and you were drunk, making the consequences more severe. Yeah. But just pulling somebody over and having them blow into a thingy to do an arbitrary number, right? Yeah. Like that does not reflect what everybody's tolerances are and everything else. We had a prime example of this, right? They tried doing this little shows how little it takes to get you drunk shit in the military, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had one of my tech sergeants, one of my E6s. We had this lieutenant that worked up in the office from maintenance that I swear we called her Tank because she was a little firebrand. But the girl couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds sopping wet. You know what I mean? And then I can't remember who the other person was. It might've just been those two.
Jesse, I have no idea what it's like to be a girl who weighs 100 pounds sopping wet.
And it's a little fireball on top of it. But okay. So they bring both of these two in them. They get them up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and they take them to get them drunk. Right. And so they both get three drinks. They get 3 cocktails. Right. Cause that's the whole argument, 3 and you're toast. Right. And at least you're blowing over the legal limit. So they had the LT in there. She's standing in there and they're giving her the field sobriety test. The girl can't stop fucking giggling. Okay. Right. Like she is fucking toast. All right. And then you have my tech sergeant, right? My tech sergeant is like 6'1". His shoulders are like this fucking wide. I mean, the dude lives at the fucking gym. He's a monster of a machine, man. And he's also really nice, really smart, was great at his job, very knowledgeable. He was just a gym addict, dude. Like he was a monster, right? Mm-hmm. They give him these 3 fucking drinks, right? And supposedly, no matter how good your tolerance is, nobody's supposed to be able to pass the little eye twitch test, right? Dude, my fucking tech sergeant sails through that fucking sobriety test like nobody's fucking business. They don't get the eye twitch with him. He's standing there acting perfectly fucking normal and everything else. And I'm like, you just literally made fools of your fucking self trying to do this. Oh, color us shocked. The little girl LT had 3 drinks and she was giggly drunk, you know, but you also.
It also depends. It depends on your genetics, because I did my ring dunk. I don't like beer. Traditionally, you dunk your Aggie ring in an entire giant boot, like our Aggie senior boots, a boot of beer. Yeah. I hate beer. So my only option was shots. I was the class of 08. That's 8 shots. I did 8 shots of lemon drops. And I was like, cool, let's go. I was fine. I could walk straight. I could pass the thing. I could do anything else. But I still remember the one time I was with some friends and I was very frustrated and angry about something. And we went to someone to get something from their house or something after we'd been at the club. And they were like, just turn the radio up. It was Downey. It was one of my best friends in the whole world. This was a Marine and just not smart when he's drunk. I love the man to death, but he's not very smart when he's drunk. He's like, oh, he cranks my radio up and he goes, just scream. You're so frustrated. Just scream. So I'm like, fine. And I scream my lungs out while the radio's cranked. Cop shows up within less than 5 minutes. And he's like, I need to do they're doing the eye thing and the test. And I just start laughing, not giggling, but laughing. He's like, let's go. I go, you're doing the same test my neurologist does every other week. So this is just weird to be doing it while I'm standing here in high heels and doing the exact same thing my neurologist does. And it was just funny, but I made the cop laugh. That's important.
There you go.
And I wasn't drunk, so I didn't get in trouble, but it was just like, oh man, I'm already frustrated. And then my buddy's like, just scream, you'll feel better. And then there's the cops.
Yep. That's normally how it goes.
Yeah.
Right when you don't need them to be there. I'm going to tell my kids this is the original Fast and Furious. Well, you wouldn't be too far wrong. No. You wouldn't be too far wrong on that one. Oh, that is great. That is great. What? Yes, you can give me a hug and kiss. Mwah. I love you. Good night.
She's so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, she's huge. She's 4. She's bigger than everybody else at her age, too. It's hilarious. She's the one.
Not huge.
Oh, no, she is, though. She's cute and huge. She's bigger than all the rest of the kids her age. It's fucking hilarious. Reddit banned the word groomer because it's hate speech. And 24 hours later, the community came up with a new word. Okay, predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. If groomers hate speech, well, what's that say? I blocked CNN at my mom's house using parental controls. Now she keeps calling me saying she can't watch the news. This is how we save America. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Amen. I love it. Oh. Do you sing in the car? Yes, but only when I'm going in reverse. I'm a backup singer.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Oh, damn.
Fucking
Wah,
puns.
wah, 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 wah. Chicken butt indeed. That's right, Jimbo. It's sad how Wile E. Coyote is remembered for his violence and not for his brilliant painting of tunnels. I agree. I think it's a shame. He was a wonderful artist. Wonderful artist. A whole room, 2 coats. Every masterpiece has its cheap copy. Oh, that's me. That is hilarious. Now, if they only had like one of the new Disney Star Wars versions in here, that would be perfect.
I love that cat.
That is fucking great. You go to church after 2 years. The pastor, the devil is among us today. Me. Whoop. That is fucking great. That's fucking great. I love that. Oh my God. Fucking vac. Jesus. I'm guessing that's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah. The difference between being hungry and being horny is where you put the cucumber. It's true.
That's fucked up.
It's true though. When you use lube to enter her shame cave, but it's a petroleum based. How dare you?
That's so
oh, that's so wrong. Oh god, that bitch is hideous. When her nudes are trash, so you draw clothes back on her and send them back.
Wow. That's cruel.
Oh, that's fucking great. Some random kid finding out that their dad is Dave Grohl. Oh, yeah. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
Dave Grohl just welcomed a new daughter into the world that was not given to him by his wife.
Ah.
Yeah. So
fuck Dave Grohl, he's a piece of shit.
Mm.
That sucks too, because I used to listen to the Foo Fighters, man. Fuck 'em.
It happens. It happens. You've captured their stunt doubles. How well approved Spaceball means. Yes, I love that. You captured their stunt doubles. Oh, I love that. That was a great scene in that movie. Extralina, absolutely spot on. All right, boys and girls, we've been at it for almost 4 hours. This has been fun. Like I said, the show isn't really truly coming to an end. We're just switching nights because I have to go help out at church and stuff like that. So we'll come up with a new name. Yeah, maybe Thursday. What was it? Thursday Thunder? Thursday Thunder or something. What was it? Thursday Night Thunder. I don't know. We'll see what we can do to play on that and kind of figure something out. But yeah, it's been fun, boys and girls. It's been an absolute blast. This is a show we've been doing for like 3 years at this point, since essentially like fall of 2021 was shortly when I got monetized and we started doing streams and stuff like that on a regular basis. So this has been a lot of fun. Obviously, Diesel's been here since practically the beginning. Tiny didn't come too terribly long afterwards either. I think that's
I'll be
been
2 years on your next birthday.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. It'll be 2 years on the next birthday. So yeah, well over a year and a half at this point. So this has been a blast. I'm sad to see the show go. It's been a great time. We promoted a lot of great comic book creators and a lot of other stuff. We've had the Nefarious guys on here. I mean, for that movie and everything else. We've had a lot of great history on this show. Got to do a lot of really cool things. I've talked to some amazing people I never thought I would ever talk to. I mean, fuck, I talked to damn, what's his face's fucking son. And not even realizing it. I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden now. Twisted Sister, D. Snyder's kid. We had D. Snyder's kid on. Yeah, we had D. Snyder's kid on the show. Didn't even fucking know that until after the show was over. You know what I mean? So it's like we've had him on here. We've had, the guys that are behind the Nefarious movie, which is one of my favorite movies out there. I mean, we've met a lot of great friends, Hojo, and the guys from fundmycomic.com, and of course Jason Sandberg and everybody else. So this has been a lot of fun. Like I said, the show is not technically going away. It's just kind of not going to be on Wednesdays anymore, and we're going to change the name and come up with a cool intro. So it's going to be a new show. We're going to reimagine the Wednesday night shows, but not in the gay trans way that everybody else in the modern era does. So I appreciate all of you guys. I'm gonna let these fine folks here tell everybody what they've got going on and where you can find them, because like I said, these people are going to be all over around and doing places and stuff like that. You're just not going to see them on Wednesday nights over here anymore. So ladies first, my dear Diesel. No, I'm just kidding. Tiny but fierce. Where can they find you, my dear? Where can they find you? What are you up to?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to do the Thursday show when it starts up. You can find me the third Sunday of every month doing a Star Trek retrospective with Surly Durley, also known as Moxie Dame. We didn't do it last month because I screwed up. I'll admit that. That was on me. God, there's other stuff. Every other Monday, I do Devil's Angels, where Devil and Selena and green-haired anti-liberal and I all talk about movies that we watch a movie that we think deserved more attention maybe than it got or has been forgotten for some reason, and talk about it. I know there's more, and I'm just totally blanking right now.
No worries. You post everything on Twitter whenever you're going to be at stuff.
Pretty
right?
much, yeah, I do. I do try to post everything on Twitter and try to be as open and available as possible. I also show up on a lot of other people's panels and streams whenever they need somebody, or if they're doing something that's I'm a big fan of. Like I was on with Iron and Diesel to talk about Riddick because I love those movies. I talk about Star Trek on the Star Trek retrospective, and I talk anyone who needs someone to talk about comics, manga, anime, really good sci-fi movies, good historicals, anything about history I'm generally down for. If you need someone, hit me up.
There you go. There you go, boys and girls. There you go. Well, thank you, Tiny. It's always a pleasure, my dear. It's always a pleasure.
Your birthday was the first time I was really brought on to ever do.
Yeah, I know. I brought you on here.
Yeah.
I'm the one
Diesel
that
brought me on,
yeah.
and I've
I
now
remember.
do all these other shows, and I don't know if I ever would have done them if I hadn't been here. So thank you again for that.
Well, you're welcome. And you're welcome to everybody else's panel. You go and hang out on there too, as well.
No, you're welcome. Everyone's welcome. See, man. I told you. That's what I said. I said, I know this cool girl, man. I'll bring her on for your birthday, man. And I brought her on. And boom. See?
Yeah. And then I forced her to stay forever.
Yo.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Well, Diesel, brother, tell everybody what you got going on, what you up to. Because this is the guy, you guys got to think about this guy has basically been here since the very fucking beginning. And occasionally, because of his own issues, he's got to miss some stuff and stuff like that. But he's always been here. He's a brother to me. He's family. And I love having him around no matter how much he irritates me sometimes. It's the best part about having an annoying brother that's older than you. You can just sometimes it's just that the way it goes. But by God, I fucking love this man. And he's been a loyal friend to this channel and to this fucking show for a long ass time. So Diesel, brother, tell everybody what you're up to and what you got going on.
First off, I love you too, Jesse. You're awesome, man. Even though I am as abrasive and kind of as like I go down the Alex Jones route every once and then, and you're just like, I can't take it, and I'm just like, I need to shut up.
Right.
Just do it. I do that. I do that to my mom too, man, and other people. It's like, what's wrong with me? Anyway, but yeah, this is a blast, man. You know, I'm there down for the Thursday or whatever. I've been here, OG, man, and Sunday, hopefully at 7:30 on my channel and Iron Oxide's channel, we'll be talking about the Terminator Zero anime, which is fantastic. Go watch it if you hadn't. It's 8 episodes, and it's really, really good. On Space Jockeys, we didn't get a chance to cancel this past Sunday, and we should be there this Sunday, 7:30 Central, 5:30 Avocado time, and we'll be doing that. And occasionally I show up on Rogues Gallery on Friday, but I'll be here whenever we start up on Thursday, hopefully, man. And yeah. All I can say is say your prayers, take your vitamins, and exercise. It's good for your brain, man. Get out there and do some stuff, man. It'll help you get out of that funk.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good for you, man. Good for
Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. So, well, boys and girls, this has been an absolute pleasure. This has been an absolute blast. Sad to see it come to an end, but hopefully we'll move on to better and bigger things on Thursday nights and do all of that kind of stuff. But this has always been a blast. This show, even when I don't feel like doing it, I'm always glad when I do come out here and do it, because we always end up having a good time. We always end up laughing. We scream about things. We get angry. We laugh. We cry. We have a great time. You know, it reminds us why we do this and why we get together, and why it's so important to have friends that you spend time with, even if it's digitally, even if it's online. Being surrounded and being able to interact and talk to the people that remind you why there are fun things out there and why things are always sunnier than what you think they are is a great reason. Even if you never ever are able to do this professionally, if you never make a dime doing anything like this, if you just want to stream for a hobby and hang out with your friends and talk about nerdy shit or talk about politics or whatever the fuck you want to talk about, if you want to talk about fucking your favorite Tumblr fan fiction, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But if you enjoy it and you get to spend time with your friends and hang out with that kind of stuff and highlight some good things and maybe roast some bad things, like, it's always worth just being able to spend time with your friends and the beautiful miracles of technology that God has given us to be able to reach out across thousands of miles. You know, why do you think now, in this time and frame right now, we're able to, as a community, as nerds, as a fellowship, to be able to push back against this kind of stuff? Because we have been blessed with the most incredible technology on the face of the planet, access to unlimited information and the ability to reach out and connect with people all around the world. We just had a guy that lives in the United Kingdom on this show, and we have him on here. We've had him on here a whole bunch in the past. I would have never met fucking Jack or Diesel or Tiny or anybody else if it wasn't for the Fellowship. And together, united together, not only does it help remind us that we're not the crazy ones, that yes, the rest of the world is fucked up and sideways, and that we will eventually come out on top because of all of that. And we're seeing that happen now. For a long time, we were told by culture that we were the crazy ones, that we were insane, that we were the racists, that we were the homophobes, that we were the sexists, and all of that rest of that kind of nonsense. Well, we're fine. They are now finding out that that has never been true, and that yes, the majority of people think just like all of you out there and can't stand this garbage either, and that is driving them insane. United, we beat back this stuff, which is why it's so important, even if it's just online, to find people you can connect to have the other people that think like you, that feel like you, and also are willing to challenge you on your ideas to keep you straight and on the straight and narrow path, because we all need that kind of thing. We all need to have that, and you need to be reminded that you're not alone in this nonsense. It's the reason why I defend fandoms that I have no part of, because I have seen what this agenda has done to my fandoms time and time again. My first One Piece video, I didn't know fucking dick shit about One Piece. You know, other than it was
dude, you are bad at saying Japanese names.
Yeah, you bet. You kept saying Luffy.
Look,
I know Tiny was like losing her mind when you were saying
my point is, even if it's a fandom you don't understand, even if it's a fandom you don't necessarily have any idea about, if you can recognize the patterns, if you can see those kind of things, those people deserve to be defended. And maybe you're not the voice that can turn on a camera and turn on a microphone and do this kind of thing, but you can support the people that do. And even if you don't know about a fandom, if you see them, I'm gonna steal a line from George Bush in the fucking DSA. If you see something, fucking say something. Because silence has what has gotten us into this position, which is why I defend fandoms that I have no stake in whatsoever, because they deserve to be defended. You as fans, you as paying customers deserve to have your voices heard and to have your fandoms be defended. And I will stand in that gap for as long as I can keep this channel and keep this job going. I will make sure I do that. It does not matter the fandom. It does not matter the property. I will fucking stand there in the gap. I will speak up for those who have been silent for far too long and maybe are still afraid to speak, because that's what we represent. That's what the Fellowship represents, is billions, not just millions, but 1 billion people worldwide that reject this nonsense and want no part of it. We are the majority. We always have been. We always will be. And what we're seeing now, the evidence of this collapsing and them losing right now, proves that to be true beyond a shadow of a doubt. So you're not crazy. This stuff is fucked up, and we are here to defend it and push back against it. And united as a fellowship, we will win, and we already are winning. We just have to remember that our job is to be watchers on the wall. Those of us that can recognize this, see the problems, and see what is coming over that hill before it smashes and destroys things. We are the people that need to stand up, speak up, and educate and inform everyone else out there of what this does and what it can do to their fandom, because it's done it to so many others in the past. We are the watchers on the wall. It is our job to be the stopgap. And generations before us have failed. It is our time. It is our generation's job now to fix the mistakes of the past. And we will, and we are. And for that, I will always be eternally grateful for everybody that has ever showed up to this show to listen to us bitch, rant, roast all of the bullshit out there in the legacy media, and at the exact same time, back us, support us, and help us promote those out there that are giving us the alternative, those of us that are giving us the power to push back against this kind of stuff, because we will always need good culture. We will always need good stories. And if the legacy media doesn't give them to us, then that's fine. We will go somewhere else and find them for ourselves. And that will also cause them to lose power, because that's what we're seeing right now. DC, Marvel, and these game studios are losing because there are better alternatives out there. There are better places to go. And that means the mainstream of the culture agrees with you. You are not crazy. You are the sane one. And now we are winning. So now is the time to keep the pedal to the metal and never, ever stop. Because as soon as we stop, that's how we end up in this exact same position again. And that is not something I want to see ever happen again. So thank you, boys and girls, all of you beautiful folks out there. You all in the chat are the reason why Winding Down Wednesdays has ever been as successful as it ever has been. And of course, my beautiful and wonderful, fabulous co-hosts that have been here over the years, in and out, coming and hanging out, to those that are gone that don't show up anymore, and to those in the future that will be part of our future shows. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love all of you guys, and I could not have done this show without you, as successful as it has been. So thank you. I love you guys all, and God bless. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, go follow all of these fabulous folks on Twitter, on social media, subscribe to all of their stuff, go support them in all of their future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd. I bring you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. For the very last time, this has been Winding Down Wednesdays. Thank you. God bless. I love you all. And enjoy the credits.